on Mars stares back with ancient eyes. Pyramids rising where the dead wind cries. Cylinders gleaming in the rover's glare. Stone circles standing like they don't belong there. Cory Dobbs got the footage on lock. John Ward slicing through the pixels non-stop. Sahara Cosmos, Ricardo, Calvario, Jason Huffman, Shaman, 7-Eleven, Alexander Cheskiewicz. We're all in. Must disclose your life, ripping the lies apart tonight. Pyramids on Mars, life in the dirt. Ancient cities buried, feel the hurt. Must disclose your life. Truth is burning through the red sky. We expose the history, the nuked out past. Potential for life, it's ours at last. It's ours at last. Xenon 1259 still ringing in the air. Somebody glassed the planet, left it bare. Blue planet red, got the proof on film. Independent eyes, we overwhelm. Rovers catch the shadows, artifacts in frame. They call it geology, we call it shame. Must disclose your life, ripping the lies apart tonight. Pyramids on Mars, life in the dirt. Ancient cities buried, feel the hurt. Must disclose your life. Truth is burning through the red sky. We expose the history, the nuked out past. Potential for life. It's
Sponsored by Spores MD for your personal mind-body wellness journey.
And hello, everyone. I'm Dave from Dave's Multiverse, your host for this mind-expanding journey into Mars mysteries and beyond. I know that the thumbnail promised beautiful women, but unfortunately, we got a little bit of a sausage fest going on tonight. Shout out Sarah and Megan. Megan might be here in a bit, but I love bringing together minds that challenge what we think we know about our universe. So get ready to go deep into the mysteries of the Red Planet with our all-star panel. First up, we want to welcome Alexander Cheskiewicz, the brilliant author of Deja Vu, Has Everything Already Been? Our editor for Dave's Multiverse, and he explores profound questions about time, lost civilization, and our forgotten global heritage. Welcome to Mars Disclosure Live. Alex, how's it going, buddy?
Hello everyone, thanks for having me on again. Can't wait for all the new stuff and new discoveries.
Outstanding. Next up, representing the Institute for Natural Philosophy, Mr. Jason Huffman, better known as Shaman 7-Eleven, the charismatic co-host of Shaman and the Philosopher podcast. Blending sharp research with philosophical fire, he'll help connect Mars anomalies to humanity's bigger story. Jason, my friend, what's going on? Welcome.
I've been accused of a lot of things, Dave, but charismatic is not one of them. And you'll only understand that if you're religious and from the Southeast. How's it going, guys? I'm proud to be here, and I'm happy to see what Jean and Brian have brought for us to examine today. Thank you, everyone, for tuning in.
Happy to have you, buddy. Next up, get ready to meet again the legendary John Ward. Let's all congratulate him for hitting the big 6-0 last week. Happy birthday, buddy. He's a trailblazing independent Mars researcher and graphic designer who's mastered spotting anomalous structures, megaliths, and mysterious artifacts right in NASA's own imagery. Jean, how's it going, man?
Hello, guys. Good. Greetings from a rainy South Africa.
Greetings. How was your birthday?
Hey, it was awesome. Got to meet the family again, had a bit of a reunion. It was nice.
Very cool.
Oh, yeah.
Congratulations, big 6-0.
Yeah, I'm retiring from research at the end of the
year.
Bull.
He was just telling us he's compelled to do this, so he's going to be doing this forever. And Last up, I want to introduce a man who doesn't really need introduction, but the award-winning filmmaker and fearless journalist, Brian Cory Dobbs, the visionary director behind groundbreaking Mars disclosure documentary, Blue Planet Red. Brian,
He's the
what's
man.
up? Welcome, and thanks for being here.
Dude, Dave, I got to tell you, I love these introductions, man. This is really well prepared, and I'm really happy to be here and spending time with you guys who have taken an interest in this. Thank you. And I feel like we're settling into a groove here with these live streams. I'm personally really fascinated by these things. I haven't really done them that much, and you know, I don't know what everyone else's experience is like, but these are really fun for me, and I feel like it helps to develop, you know, or refine my method of communicating to the public when I actually get to speak to people in real time and toss it around the room. You know, there's going to be some things that we're going to show you later, and I really want to try to open this up for discussion because as you know, for what I'm interested in doing and trying to shine a light on all of this research, it does really require me to ask the harder questions, which is, can we sort of prove this wrong or provide a natural explanation for these sorts of things? Because if we can, then we want to drop that and just stick to the good stuff. So anyway, happy to be here. Thanks, Dave.
You are welcome. We are happy to have you. I wanted to shout out the chat because we are live on, I believe, 5 different YouTube channels, my Rumble channel and my X right now. So everyone in the chat, when Megan gets here, she'll be monitoring that and responding. But please, let's throw up no, that's Scott. He said, yeah, I knew that YouTube video about the robot running the half marathon was winning.
Jake Quills. Jay Quills, Tammy, goodness, we've got Miss CMS, Christine, True Seer, Tree Buddy. Look at everybody.
Yeah,
welcome, guys.
The chat is popping already. Jason, if you want to watch that while I wait for Megan, that'd be great.
I will do my best, boss. Thank you.
So Brian's been all up in my X lately. Every time I turn on the X, Brian's going, yeah, they already knew there was water on Mars. Yeah, they already knew there was microbes on Mars. And he's posting and reposting people's stuff and commenting on people's stuff and getting the information out there. That is, if you saw the thumbnail, that's the title for today, Life on Mars. We're going to get into a couple of things. The true color of Mars, water on Mars, the Brookings Institute report, microbes. John has a presentation with some more artifacts and UFOs on Mars, and so this is going to be fun, right, Brian?
Yeah. Hey, Dave, one technical note. I feel like your audio is sort of being a little transient, coming in and out. I'm not sure if it's a microphone placement thing. We can hear you, but it just sort of feels like it's in a long hallway. Is anybody else hearing that?
Just a little bit. And Brian, you're going to be a natural. You said you're just getting going in this podcasting, and look at you, bro. You're already producing. And
is that better? Better?
Yes, that is better.
Yes.
All right, cool.
That's
I don't know. I just moved it closer and pointed at my face. So
yeah,
there you go.
I think that's all we needed.
Hey, look, I just took a nap. All right, and then I came down here. So my apologies.
Come here. Just a little lap. Wake up, man.
We're good here. Right. Dave, just real quick before we get started on the presentations, I'm continually trying to, you know, Dave, you and I have talked about getting traction on X. It's hard on that platform related to other social media platforms to really get momentum going and gain a better following. And I every now and then I get dinged with what they call a label, like they're labeling my activity as suspicious, and I'm not exactly sure why, because they're not very specific with the feedback. So, you know, somebody suggested I'm posting too many YouTube links. I'm like, okay, well, you know, they have to account for people going elsewhere to watch video at some point in time, but whatever. So I'm trying to, you know, my goal is to really speak with who I call the uninitiated, the folks who know nothing about this, because, you know, there's a growing population of the people who are savvy with what's happening with Mars, but the majority are not. So I think there needs to be this continued effort to just message on the basics. And so I'll go through Twitter and I'll see people who are talking about these things, and I'm like, if they only really knew, like 50 years later, we're still talking about water on Mars, and I have to remind myself, yes, there are a whole lot of people who don't know that there's water on Mars. So I felt like it was necessary to go back for this episode to just do some of the basics. We got some really fun stuff later on here and for today's show, but I think it would be good to go through just the basics again, because there's a lot of people who still don't know the details there, and even the basics have some paradigm shifting, potential here. So anyway, Jean, if we could pivot now, Jean came across some really high quality color photographs of Mars, which I would like him to show. And what I want to also talk about is how Mars has been portrayed by NASA with their publicly released images over the years. Because when people think about Mars photographs, specifically Mars rover photographs, if it's not black and white, then it's generally more just red in nature. Everything's red. Ground is red, sky is red, Mars is just red. The public understands Mars as the red planet, but really it's not as red as we think. And we've got some really nice photos that John's prepared an excellent presentation. John does amazing work, even just for these Sunday live streams. He's putting together these really pro graphics, and I just love it.
Thanks, dude. I love doing this. Can you guys see my screen?
No, I'll put it up there though. Can you?
Okay.
Let me do it again.
Thanks, Dave.
I believe we've got the Sausage Fest is now over too, because
Oh, is
Megan
Megan
is here.
Hi guys.
Hello.
Sorry for my late arrival today.
I had a little intro for you, so let me do that quick. Bringing her signature vibrant energy and boundless curious insights is my lovely producer, Megan Gibson, aka Miss Indonesia Jones. Thank you so much for joining us.
Hi guys.
You were supposed to be bringing the pigs and blankets. I don't understand. The sausage fest. It's backwards. Well, hey, Megan.
Well, I felt like we were like, people might think we were clickbaiting or something with pretty beautiful women on the thumbnail, and then Sarah's not here and Megan's not here, and I just wanted to make sure we pointed that out.
Cool. Right, Dave, can you see the screen?
We can. I'm trying to find the best way
Landscape.
to do it here.
If you
Let's
can-
do it this way.
Widescreen landscape
Yep, got it.
would be ideal.
Just can't see me anymore, but that's okay.
Cool. Okay, so is the presentation live?
It is.
Okay, so the NASA sources, the links are highlighted under the NASA sources, so you can go and check these out for yourself. So right into the presentation. Okay, so a live stream was held a couple of months ago by the Curiosity team. Curiosity, a decade on Mars. So Dr. Ashwin Vasavada presented this. He's the Curiosity project scientist, NASA JPL. And these are screenshots from this live stream presentation that he did. And these are mind-blowing. Color photographs of Mars with no red filter applied. This is straight from the horse's mouth. These are the actual photographs that he presented in a NASA live stream. So why do they always apply the red filter? So there you can see it's got a blue sky, right?
Yep.
Yep. Check that out. It looks like something you'd see here on Earth with a blue sky. Look at the rich, vivid colors. You don't see this typically on the NASA website. When you go to the Curiosity and Perseverance site, you get black and white with that strange grid, the what do they call it? The biofilter applied. It encodes color, but they don't release the color photographs. They are available on the NASA analyst's notebook, but you need an account. It's free, and it's very difficult to find these. But yeah, they are. They put these together for us. Check that out. The dark blue sky. This is incredible. And the media doesn't really say anything about it. And I don't question the red filter that's always applied. Check that there in the background, that blue horizon. These are astonishing photographs. Look at the rich, vivid colors that we see here. This makes me question, what else is NASA keeping to themselves? If they're releasing photographs like this, what else have they got in their archive? Just check this. Incredible stuff.
The clarity on these, for whatever reason, they seem of higher quality than. Oh,
They
I guess
are.
what we can see here, this is a mosaic panoramic that was stitched together. But just looking at some of these, it just makes me think of Earth. It makes me think like, oh, that's familiar to me. And when we see the artificially tinted red versions of what NASA usually gives us, it makes it seem like this alien planet, and it is. But in actuality, it's a lot more like Earth than has been portrayed over the past half century. So, and the question is why? Why do they do this? And we can only speculate, because NASA has a history of doing this right from the get-go, where, you know, the first images that were beamed back from Viking, I have a relationship with Ron Levin, who is the son of Dr. Gil Levin. We'll be talking about Dr. Gil Levin later. But Dr. Gil Levin was part of the Viking mission, and his son Ron accompanied him to work and got to be at NASA headquarters for when Viking landed on Mars back in 1976. And he tells me the story of being in the control room when the first images of Mars were being beamed back. And all on the color monitors in the control room, we started seeing these pictures. He was recounting the story, and he said he started seeing these pictures of Mars with blue sky, and it sort of stunned the room. And for whatever reason, one of the technicians there was ordered to go around and adjust the tint for each one of those monitors to make it get rid of the blue sky. And so Ron was like, this is strange. I'm going to go to all the color monitors and turn it back so we can see the true color of Mars with the blue sky. And then they yelled at him for doing that. So right from the get-go, they're doing this. And as they released images online ever since, there's this red filter, and they want to. John, what do they say? What do they say? It's like, oh, there's different ways you can interpret the white balance, or something to do with the white balance. And they say, well, if you look at it this way, it's true, but if you look at it this way, it's also true. It just depends on which white balance filter you want to use. Something.
I don't know why they apply that red filter, Brian. I think it's got something to do with identifying different minerals in the geology.
Yeah. What does that have to do with the public, though? You know what I mean? Like, I could understand doing that for scientific purposes, but when you present it to the public, it's been ingrained in us as the red planet, right? I mean, Jason, you've explored a lot of the world, and you spend a lot of your time out in the world in your own backyard exploring. This looks like Earth, right?
Yeah, I think that's the problem with it, Dave, is as I look at this picture that's up here now, what I see is somebody just got up to make the campfire. It's sunrise, it would appear. It's coming up. You can see the angle there. Nice. And yeah, man, I see the need to go hunt for some water. Definitely. But yes, it looks like Earth. So perhaps if we're looking for a motivation, is that motivation enough? That all of these things they're trying to add up and go, let's just keep everybody away from sort of accessing what Mars has to offer. Somebody started with the red filter in 1953, and so they're just still doing it now.
I don't know. I don't know. Truth Seer says my speculation would be that a red burned out planet helps with the climate change BS, amongst other things. Oleg, what do you make of these photos, and why do you think that they're telling us the planet's red when it's not?
Yeah, that's crazy actually. I think it completely changes everyone's views when they see these photos. And as you've said, I don't understand why they're showing the public the red ones. Because okay, let's say they use the red filter to show different minerals and stuff like that, but why all these years they were showing only the red ones and never before, or maybe rarely showed like these pictures? Or maybe there is even a third way. Maybe these are also a bit unnatural, colorized, just as the red ones. Or these are the real without any filters.
Yeah, I don't know. And when I just look at these, I agree with Jason. Some of these pictures, it looks like I just woke up from camping in Joshua Tree or something, and I'm about to build a fire and that kind of thing. Megan, have you seen any of these pictures before in your travels, like that of Mars that look like Earth and not red?
No, not at all. I feel like we could easily be looking at Earth here. This is blowing my mind, actually.
Wild.
I think
David, there was
that's a good why, right, guys? Sorry, Brian, I didn't mean to cut you off, but that's a good why. I mean, look, these things that you guys are pointing out to us, you think perhaps NASA didn't know about them way back when, and they just decided we're going to obfuscate from the get-go, and if everything looks red and it looks foreign, nobody's going to glance. It's going to take a while before somebody says, hey, maybe something was there once. Sorry, Brian, go ahead, man.
Megan, I think there was a comment that just popped up there. It looked like it was from Dave Nelson, somebody named Dave Nelson, who was saying something to the effect of, they want us to there it is. They want us to think Mars is dead like the moon. I don't know about people living there, but I have heard this before, where if the public understands Mars is this uninhabitable place, even to microbes, then they aren't confronted with this ambiguous question about whether or not there is even just microbial life there. If we just think it's this dead, sterile planet. Yeah, here's another one. These photos would encourage Mars exploration. Same reason as the Mars. I'm reading the comments. Same reason as the reason why the scientists have unallowed. Oh Jesus. If it is presented as this sterile desert wasteland, nothing of a planet, what's the big deal? The public then is then not compelled to want to understand what's really on the planet, and it gives NASA an out for really getting to the bottom of these strange anomalies that we keep talking about, even just the microbial life aspect of it. Because in that same year, 1976, which we're going to talk about in a little bit, that was when they first detected microbial life on Mars, and we'll go through the specifics in a little bit later. But and why they have backtracked on that, and why they're wrong for doing so. But if the public understands it as to be more like the moon, then why should the public be interested in pursuing these unanswered questions and compelling NASA to get to the bottom of this stuff? So I think that's basically what we can speculate on.
I had a thought too, and part of me thinks that it's this whole protect us from that. When the government tries to protect us, they're usually full of shit. But you know, Earth is supposed to be special, and Earth is special. Okay, I love this planet. All right, but it's biblically speaking, it's supposed to be special, right? And if people were to start speculating and that life potentially was on Mars and life was a blue planet and that sort of thing, then that would just blow up the paradigm, wouldn't it? And they don't want to do that.
No, I mean, let me just say this as the dude, you know, with the cross around his neck, that no, because what the faith tells you is that currently this is a divinely ordained and protected and special place. It doesn't say forever in all ways. It doesn't say for all the things that you are not aware of and you cannot consider. It says right now for you and your concern in this reality, right? So it's actually, I just hate to interrupt, but
that's perfect.
It aggravates me when people use that excuse and say ontological shock, you're going to blow the faith up. No, it doesn't, because the faith is the plan for this place, right? It's not. It has nothing to do with what was or what will be, does it now? Not when you really get down to it. So if we're honest, this is a straw man, this ontological shock. I'm much happier to hear about possibly a grand, exciting, multi-planetary hopping story that is my actual heritage, rather than some little mudman that hid in caves until 6,000 years ago. For some reason, 300,000, I was just scared and couldn't make fire. You know, that's not a story that I'm excited about.
I wanted to shout out my oldest friend. I've known this dude since I was 8, Graham. But he said, wouldn't the red be some sort of optical illusion with light bouncing off of the brown red dirt? I've heard that before too. He says it looks like they have red dirt in PEI Canada. Maybe the images are from PEI. We hear that a lot, like from quote conspiracy theorists, that they're showing us pictures of places on Earth and pretending they're Mars.
Devon Island comes to mind. Yes.
Yeah. What do you think about that optical illusion idea?
Well, I do think that the planet is overall more reddish, sure, because it's covered in rust, and rust is reddish. So the red planet, I'll give it. That's fine. I'm not gonna, technically it's more like, just think about it this way: redheads. We say redheads. I mean, they have orange hair. Okay, but we say redheads is just easier, right? So I don't mind calling it the red planet, but when they want to exaggerate the red at the cost of us understanding what the true history and the true nature of the planet really is, that's when we start to have some conflicts there. So, my astrobiologist friend Barry DiGregorio, who we will be talking about at a later point in time, and his contributions towards the study of Mars here, he likes to refer to the planet as a butterscotch planet. I'm like, okay, that sounds cool, but red planet is here to stay. Two things can be true at the same time. Like it's reddish. Well, let's just say red planet. It's fine. And Dr. Brandenburg says, it's covered in red Georgia clay. So there is some aspect of red. It's fine.
It is. Imagine if it wasn't, then the documentary needs to change. The name of your documentary will need to change.
It's here to stay. Red planet.
Butterscotch Planet Red. Butterscotch Planet Red. No, Blue Planet Butterscotch. Sorry.
Right. Yeah.
So, that was it, Brian. I think you can go ahead and present your information.
Sure.
Yeah.
Butterscotch Planet Red. It's the eve of 420. Don't forget to leave butterscotch out for Willie Nelson when you go to bed tonight, kids. Sorry, bump.
Hot dog mustard blue.
Brian, how long has water been known to be on Mars, and why does this keep coming up as a new news? You know what I mean?
Yeah. Should we skip to water?
I don't know. Where were you gonna go?
Well, I guess I was gonna.
Brookings and Deloitte.
No. Actually, water is next. I'm sorry.
Water is next.
Okay, look. When we were first looking at Mars prior to NASA being established as an agency. All we had were ground-based telescopes. We were looking at Mars hundreds of years ago through telescopes, and we couldn't see much. There were some observations that made it appear like there were these very long canals on Mars, which weren't actually true. We didn't really have a good way of looking at the planet really until NASA came along and started taking high resolution photographs because they sent orbiters there and yada yada yada. But even through ground-based telescopes prior to that, we could see that it had these polar ice caps. Okay, and the question then was, okay, well, what does that ice consist of? So I put together. So in 1976, NASA has this ambitious mission, the Viking mission, which actually consisted of it was Viking 1 and Viking 2. They sent 2 spaceships to Mars, and each one of these things had an orbiter and a lander. So they had 4 probes that they sent to Mars. This thing was executed flawlessly. Everything worked perfectly. This is 50 years ago. It's amazing what they were able to do even way back then. But I did put together just a little short presentation just on water, because I think if most of the public doesn't understand that there's water on Mars, that's a problem. Because
Right.
just prefacing this conversation, it's all about context, right? Because NASA's motto is follow the water. What do they mean by that? Why are we interested in water? Guys, what does water mean on a planet?
In the 8th grade, it was what they told me was the #1 thing you needed for life. But we actually don't, that's not necessarily true at this point. But still, you need it for life.
Basically, okay? And there's a lot of interest now in going to explore Jupiter and Saturn's moons, terrestrial moons, which some are covered in a thick layer of ice, but we think that there's actually liquid water beneath miles of ice. I think we know this. I think this is pretty well established. I think this is a fact. Like there's these icy moons with water underneath this ice crust. Sometimes it spews into outer space. So they say, okay, we want to go look at these icy outer moons because there's a chance that they are going to have life there, even if it's just microbial, even if it's these frozen planets, it still has liquid water underneath. So we can send probes to go fly through these water spouts that are shooting out of, let's say, Enceladus, I think, and see what's in there, which is cool. And maybe they'll send another probe down to land and dig down, drill down through the ice and go and see if there's any space whales. I don't really know. But that's a lot of work to get there. It takes a long time to get there. That's an incredibly ambitious mission. I don't know if that's something that's going to happen in our lifetimes. That's an incredibly complicated thing to do. So while there is this interest in pursuing the exploration of even just microbial life on those outer moons, we have an opportunity to go to our next door neighbor and do the same damn thing. Okay? Because water is on Mars. Now, most of it is in the form of ice, but microbes don't care about that. So let's just take a quick look at where we can find water on Mars.
We got a comment. We'll be able to bottle the water and sell it. Don't tell Nestle that. They're trying to. Water's not a human right to Nestle. Oleg, you're from a younger generation, and also, as far as I understand, Poland is is a lot more honest in their education system. Did you know about light or water on Mars and where you can find it and stuff in school?
Yeah, I think in my generations and above, it is in educational system a common knowledge that Mars have this water frozen. And I even think it's actually nowadays a common knowledge in the educational system, of course, not like among the public, but when you're listening to the teachers and reading the textbooks, that Mars once was, different than nowadays. It wasn't that dead, but it was more, maybe not filled with life, of course, according to them, but at least this water, it was more like Earth, and I think it is in the curriculum, so it's changing.
It's changing. So they were psyoping the shit out of us,
they
right,
were.
Jason?
Yeah, they were, dude. This was not the story we were told at all. No. Pluto was definitely a planet, and this thing was nothing but dead rock. That was the story we were told. And the story we were told was that there was no water outside of this precious sphere, and then just to hear a minute ago Brian say, we've got moons that eject it into space. So essentially, bacteria and water are just floating through space. And as you say, Nestle and the WEF think they can turn it into tradable and taxable credits. Is ridiculous when it's floating around in space. But no, bro, the narrative should be shattered. I hope soon.
Brian, are you sharing something?
Brian, if I may add, the European Space Agency detected liquid water under the surface of Mars, close to the South Pole.
We lost Brian again. Brian is having technical difficulties.
Oopsie.
I didn't know that the European Space Agency.
Yeah, they did. I'm going to see if I can find it.
Okay. And Megan, did you know, just from your general knowledge, that there was like water and ice on Mars? Like,
No, not at all.
yeah. And, not to out anyone's age or anything, but like from a certain generation above, it seems like we're getting psyoped, and they knew it from the start, which is wild to me.
Okay, yeah, I've got an overview. ESA missions have identified significant water, including potential liquid water hidden under the Mars's surface. Key findings from Mars Express show evidence of liquid water beneath the South Pole, while the ExoMars Trace Gas Orbiter detected vast amounts of water ice in Valles Marineris Canyon system.
I wonder how they know that. I'm science illiterate for the most part, but I wonder. I shouldn't say that out loud. Shit. I wonder how they're able to tell that through their what tests or whatever that they did, what scans, what I mean.
Don't feel bad, Dave. I went to the same public school you did. It was intentional, bro.
It was
similar to LiDAR.
Okay, similar to LiDAR. Yeah. Maybe it's SAR scans picking up second sphinxes on Mars.
You need those there for sure, especially to check what's underneath that huge pyramid I found.
For sure. You good, Brian?
Okay. Yeah, sorry. I don't having some tech difficulties over here. I apologize for the interruption. All right.
MRB onto you.
Yeah.
MRB.
It's Nestle, man. Nestle's an evil organization. They're watching everything. They don't want us to know that they're commoditizing water on Mars.
There you go. Knocking you out.
All right.
Nestle, WEF, and NASA have teamed up to take down Mars Disclosure.
That damn rabbit! I always knew he was evil. That rabbit always gave me the heebie-jeebies. So
Yeah.
I never trusted that Nestle rabbit ever. Brian's sharing something here, so let's go.
Okay. Can you guys see this? It says water.
Yeah, we got you, buddy.
All right. Cool. All right. So, is there water on Mars? Yes, there's water on Mars. And here's just one crater.
Wow.
On Mars. This is a really fun photo to look at. Okay. And this crater is, I believe it's at the North Pole of Mars. And this crater is 50 miles wide.
Wow.
Okay. So, when we look at these high resolution satellite photographs, everything kind of looks small, but when we can get in and see things up close, and credit goes to my buddy Tom McNear for showing this to me, and I'm just one of these interesting ones that I saved because it's just exactly, Dave, like, just looking at it, it's wow, like, look at that. And how much water is that? Okay, it's 500 cubic miles of water. All right, and that's just one crater. But if you look at where this one crater sits in relation to the rest of the North Pole of Mars, okay, it's just a small little piece.
Amazing. Dude. As a Canadian, all I can think of is I want to shovel out a little space on there so I can play some ice hockey. That is wild.
Why is everything on Mars, it just seems so big? I mean, 50 miles wide. What does it make the walls of those craters? 10 miles high? And then you show me that it's the tiniest part of the feature.
I know. This looks huge, but then it's like nothing compared to the rest of it. So if all of that ice melted, I mean, we'd have an ocean right there. There's an ocean of water right there. Okay. Now, the polar ice cap of Mars is a mixture of H2O and CO2. All right. But it is mostly it's miles thick. It's hard to see here because it just looks like a light coating, but it's actually miles thick water ice, and then there's a thin layer of carbon dioxide ice on top of it. But the majority of it is actually H2O. And I mean, it's just a lot. Okay, a lot of water just at the poles, and there's a southern polar ice cap as well. It's not quite as big, but still, small ocean's worth, right? So we can obviously see these. They could see these even before NASA was an agency. We could see these through ground-based telescopes. We could see these little white things on the poles. What's interesting to know is that we have to reframe just what the surface of Mars is. The surface, think of Mars this way. Mars, okay, if Mars was the blue planet that science is now telling us, what happened to all that water? A lot of it actually seeped down into the ground, and the rest of it evaporated out into space. But there's a lot of it that seeped down into the ground, and then over millions, or if not billions of years, there was a lot of dust that sort of accumulated on top of it. Okay? But if you just take your hand, or in the case of a rover, a little scoop, and just start scooping, all right, just centimeters below all of that dust and dirt, you'll find ice.
Wow. And
this is not just in one location. It's essentially all over the planet. Okay, so Mars right now is, it's a terrestrial planet. It's got soil, but it's also got a lot of ice that just sort of sublimated into the ground. The water sublimated into the ground. It froze. It's very cold there. We can see evidence of this not just with rover scoops, but even in meteor impacts, it'll just uncover a lot of ice.
Insane.
Look at that.
Whoa.
It's pretty cool to see these kinds of things, and I want to thank, again, my presentations are informed by the many people who have studied Mars in the years prior to me getting into this. So I really, again, want to thank the people who have taught me so that I could re-educate the public. And Barry DiGregorio, I'll be mentioning his name, but you probably don't know who he is, but we're going to be talking about his contribution towards this, and probably bring him on the show, Dave, at some point to talk about some of the more interesting discoveries that he's made. But in addition to the surface, we've got subsurface lakes and ice deposits, and even liquid water deep beneath the surface. You'll see these things pop up every now and then in your news feed about how they did, I don't know, ground penetrating radar, and they can see these little pockets of ice and water all over the planet. And,
Brian, can
yeah.
can I mention something? That somebody
Yeah.
brought it up in a comment. He's referring to extremophiles, and we know that life can exist in the most extreme places on Earth, even on the outside of the International Space Station. So, why is it that there can't be life here too in these extreme conditions?
That is the relevant question here, Dave, because NASA, the people who work at NASA are not stupid. These are the brightest individuals to go there and study planets and inform the rest of the public about things. Surely they are familiar with extremophiles and microbes in general. And that is the case that many people before me and I am making now, is that while Mars is inhospitable to people, microbes are not people. Microbes don't require as much as people do to live. And we're going to be getting a little bit more into that in the microbe section of today's presentation. But that is the most relevant question that astrobiologists can be asking, because just looking at just the evidence for water and ice on Mars, most of it is ice, like 99% of it, okay? And the reason why is because the atmospheric pressure of the planet doesn't really allow water to form for long. It's kind of right at that triple point of water where water can exist as a gas, liquid, and ice, like transiently. It all just goes, it can go from ice directly into gas because the pressure is just so different. The physics of the atmosphere is just different than here on Earth. So when NASA says we want to follow the water, our next door neighbor has all the conditions that should make for an astrobiologist's dream in actually studying alien microbes. So the case really needs to be made, and what I'm trying to make the case for, but there are actually people in the scientists that I know who do not accept NASA's narrative of Mars being this desolate, sterile planet. My work is informed by their work, and they're the one actually publishing research papers and bringing the receipts on this. So anyway, we'll talk a little bit more about that, Dave, here as we go along. Now we're talking about ice here, but we do actually see signs of liquid water on the planet. It doesn't last that long, but this process called deliquescence, where the soil absorbs the moisture from the air, and after it reaches a certain threshold, it sort of releases it and it flows down the hill, and we can see these streaks here. That's wild. That's liquid water for a few minutes, and then depending on the temperature, not just the atmospheric pressure, but the temperature of the planet, when it's in the warmer regions, like stuff like this can happen. So that's an ocean for a microbe.
Brian, what was that word again? I've never heard. I've never heard that before. What is that? And how long does that last?
Oh man, it's a funny word. Deliquescence. Just think of essentially the process of the soil absorbing the moisture in the air. The atmosphere is not nearly as dense as that of Earth's, but it still exists, and there is still moisture in the air. And if enough of it collects at the right atmospheric conditions and pressures and temperatures, it sort of absorbs like a sponge into the soil here and there, and just collects and then overflows, and then really look. I can't only do my dummy explanation for this because
right.
Deliquescence, it creates a delicatessen for microbial life on Mars.
There you go.
Yeah. So I mean, this word is something that I got from, the people who study this, but this is on NASA's website. This is what their actual scientists and website says. It's not well known as to why not. I don't know. Like this is to me a huge deal, and I think more people just understood that there's even just this evidence for that. Okay, first of all, this isn't just evidence. Okay, you could say this is conclusive evidence. This is proof. This is proof of water being on Mars. There's no debate here. There is water on Mars. And the soil, and it is soil, can actually get a little muddy. Okay, you look at the rover wheels. If it didn't have moisture, it would just kind of act like dust, like the beach, like sand on the beach. It wouldn't collect and clump together unless it's wet. So, another picture here taken. There was a camera that was affixed underneath the Phoenix lander, and after it landed, they took a photo, and we see these little water droplets on the struts underneath. NASA has published papers on this stuff. Okay, there is water on Mars. There's not large bodies of liquid water, but that's okay. We're talking about microbes and the conditions that microbes would need, all right? Now, believe it or not, it actually snows on Mars. Okay? This is a picture taken by the Viking lander just a few days after it got there in 1976. And here we have snowfall. 1976. I mean, had this picture just been plastered on every news headline ever since, that tells a very different story than the rovers are telling these days, with just this barren desert wasteland of a planet. And
whether it's snow or frozen dew, precipitation, I mean, you can obviously see what that is. I can't believe that's 76, Brian. That's wild.
Yeah, and there is some people do consider this frost, but as pointed out to me by a gentleman by the name of Professor Richard Hoover, who actually did work for NASA from 1966 to 2012 and led their astrobiology research department at NASA's Marshall Space Flight Center.
Yeah.
Okay. He says that because the white is not covering the vertical portions of these rocks, we know that it's not frost. And we know that it's snowfall because it's only on the horizontal portions of it. And I think he even had some further analysis on this. So I'll take his word for it.
Yeah.
But we have more photos since, taken with better resolution cameras at high altitudes, that show a winter wonderland. And this guy, Sylvain Picqueux from NASA, was quoted as saying, enough falls that you could snowshoe across it. So it's not, even if we were debating whether or not this is frost or snow, like we have a whole lot more here, more recent images. And on top of that, can you guys still hear me?
Yeah, we got you.
Okay, cool.
100%.
Jason, I muted you because I'm getting a little feedback from your end, just FYI.
No worries, man.
Okay. Okay, even cooler, we've got clouds on Mars, and you might be able to see there's just a 2-frame animation here showing clouds moving. And these clouds are just like clouds here on Earth in that they are filled with water.
What? I didn't know this. How come? How come? It just pisses me off a little bit. I'm not gonna lie. Like I didn't know it snowed on Mars. I didn't know Mars was like Canada, and that really bugs me.
I know, Dave, and it bugged me too. And this, when I started learning about this stuff, I'm like, how come more people don't know this? This isn't some secret. This is all stuff you could find on NASA's website today. You got to go digging for it. You know, you might need someone who has saved that link from 10 years ago to send it to you, and thank God the people have done that. But there's water all over the planet. Now, again, if we're talking about the conditions that microbes would need to survive, we have a very thin atmosphere, but it does exist. And we're going to be talking about microbes here in a second. And we've got water, and we've got sun as an energy source. Guys, why are we not prioritizing astrobiological research on this planet that we can easily get to relative to those icy outer moons?
I think we probably are. They're just not telling us. I want to hear from the panel and what they think about the water presentation here. And we're thinking about extremophiles, atmospheres, water, ice, snow. Oleg, what's your reaction to that?
Just as I've said before, that it's a little bit common knowledge that there was water on Mars and still is. These ones are not being taught at school, especially, this water like in the liquid form. These, even when I remember having some just short lessons about Mars, it was always that, its atmosphere is different, but from these photos, it's very, very, especially with this cloud, similar to Earth. So it's further showing us how little difference there is between Mars and Earth. So maybe, different kinds of life could survive on this planet, even in current conditions, not to mention millions of years ago, or however many, when it was completely different and water was fluid in most of the parts of Mars.
Yeah, maybe. And, first of all, I want to shout out the chat. It's absolutely popping tonight. Everyone's seems like they're having a good time and enjoying the show. We got people, somebody just commented from England, which is pretty cool. And so if you guys are from different parts of this planet, let us know. Most of us here in the US, except Megan's in Canada and Jean is in South Africa. But Megan, I also want to shout out Megan's commitment to cosplaying for this Mars Disclosure Live. She looks great tonight. Megan, what's your reaction to that Mars water presentation Brian just did for us?
Like, have they been able to take a sample of it? Does the rover have some sort of like microscope on it? That's what I want to see. I want to see like a close-up of this water. What sort of life could be in there on a microscopic level? Let's send some more little gadgets on the next rover.
I'm betting they probably already did. What do you think, Jason? Oh, you're muted. I'm unmuting you now. Go ahead.
Yeah, and let me know what that feedback is so I can see to it. It might be a golf game. Let me know.
No, it's like a.
Okay.
I think it's gone.
So no, listen, my take home is the photo from 76. Okay. I've been at it long enough with you guys that I'm a little bit over looking for life. I'm there, right? Coupled my intuition and your guys' hard work. I'm with you, and it's no big deal to me. Life is there. Well, the take home for me is the whole 76, when, that paints the picture for me of leadership that has had this information for a very long time. And Dave, you and I were in school well after 76, born shortly thereafter. So we were being fed knowingly misinformation, maliciously false information. That's my take home from this, dude. Life of some sort is there or was there, but the whole having this information and not giving it to the public freely and willingly, as is our right, is my take home. Thank you, Brian.
Ontological shock my ass.
Right.
They could have told me that when I was 10 and I would have been like, sweet, there's snow on Mars. Like, I wouldn't have been like, oh, my worldview is wrecked. Now I'm not gonna get a job when I'm older. Like, give me a break.
Dave, doesn't it echo to you the conversation we have a lot about transoceanic travel here on this planet? You know, it's like, give me a break. They weren't here before Columbus. It does nothing to me. Let's get on with the truth, right? It's sort of the same thing. I believe humanity's at a place where everybody's like, man, just quit with the BS. We have no problem. We already know. It's common sense that life is elsewhere. Quit, making us argue our own understanding of reality.
I agree. Jean, water on Mars. Like, what the hell? Why aren't they telling us?
Oh, I don't know. It's like the blue sky. And I think I presented when you did the interview with me, I presented the evidence of those huge bushes and like tree-like shrub things growing next to what looked like a lake. Like docking points on the one side. When I went to look at newer photographs of that specific site, there was nothing like that. It was just red. It's as if it was obfuscated. The older photographs reveal more than the newer ones. And I suspect it's because of the higher definition, and it's easier to make out detail. And then it'll blow their narrative out of the water. Pardon the pun.
Yeah, Rubate asks. Sorry, Rubate. Sorry, continue. Sorry, I didn't. I thought you were done.
I found traces of what microbial life would leave on the surface of rocks and on the sand, like desert varnish and things like that, like corals, finger corals, fossils, potential bones. The fish spines that I showed you guys. Remember those?
I do, yeah.
So to me, water on Mars would mean there are current microbial life, cells or bacteria or something that's alive on the surface of Mars. In specific little areas. I mean, methane is released into the atmosphere of Mars on a seasonal basis as well. And methane is produced by organisms. So that's my take on it. I believe there is life on Mars.
Yeah, and potentially very, very old life that you're finding evidence of and presenting on your channel. Everyone subscribe to Jean Ward on YouTube. Rubate asks if the bits necessary for sustained life on Mars, how would the panel kickstart it again? How would you go about reviving the planet? Somebody answered that a little bit in the chat. They said something about you need heat to kickstart the process. As far as I understand, this recent Artemis trip and to the moon and continuous trips there and after is to start experimenting with that so we can then experiment on Mars. Elon has gone as far as to say that that's the plan. Has anyone heard that the plan is to we're talking about terraforming, okay? And that's a process that's like scientifically plausible, you know?
Ricardo said in the chat, if that's the one you're looking for, Dave, Ricardo Petrazzi, if we could increase atmospheric pressure on Mars, it would warm up. Pressure and temper related. Remember your high school physics.
There you go. I took oceanography, not physics. But still.
Okay.
My computer's literally resting on a board game called Terraforming Mars. Just that little tidbit for you.
I want that game. That sounds like a blast.
Oh, look at that.
Oh, sweet. Is
You should have set that behind you.
Is that an old one?
No.
That's awesome. Brian?
We had Mars enter Aries today, too. Mars is just on topic today.
What does that mean?
Everything is in Aries right now. It's going crazy, guys.
First time in
So was my birthday.
Years. Yeah. And then 2,000 years since everything's been in, right, Megan?
I don't know the specifics. I just know that like this is a pretty nutty astrological time. If you're going to send any like crazy messages to anyone, maybe just hold off a week.
So it says here, Dave, that right now Mars is in Aries. It's conjunct to Saturn. The last time this happened was 28 years ago. We are in these unprecedented new times. It's like we're breaking new ground. Aries starts a brand new cycle. It is indeed the first zodiac sign, the first sign of the zodiac. Thus, it's a very powerful energy. The Mars energy is the warrior. How do you take action, et cetera, et cetera.
So don't make any emotionally reactive decisions for about a week, according to Megan. Got it.
Something like that. Check in with someone more informed than me, but things are a little bit crazy right now, from my understanding.
Brian.
Yeah, so good questions here. Megan, you had some very relevant questions as it relates to if we've got all this evidence for water, ice on Mars, then certainly we should start looking there and examining it with every tool that we have at our disposal to look for little critters. Dave, what we should actually, now that I'm looking at the agenda, let me skip right to microbes, and then we'll come back to Deloitte and Brookings, because that sort of makes a little bit more sense.
Perfect.
So just to preface this conversation, Jean, correct me if I'm wrong here, but it's the European Space Agency that is planning this Rosalind Franklin rover mission to Mars. It's the ESA, isn't it? Did you hear about this?
I think it might be a joint venture, but I don't know the specifics. No.
Okay. Well, they're sending a new rover to Mars, and I'm seeing some tweets on it this week, and the messaging is it's going to look for signs of past and present life on the surface of the planet. This is something they tell us that all these rovers do. We're going there. We're going to be searching for life there, guys. We're going to be searching for life, and which is we have to understand the devil's in the details here, okay? Because NASA has only searched for life on Mars one time. And that was back in 1976. This is why
and they found it.
And they found it, which we're going to talk about. I'm going to show you exactly what they found. And this is why the 1976 Viking mission was so critically important, because it helped us understand the planet in so many ways that they just haven't followed up on. I asked a contact of mine who knows knows a lot more about these rover missions. Without his name is Chris Temby. He's my go-to person for understanding exactly what's aboard these new rovers. And I said, "Hey, Chris, is it true that this new rover that the European Space Agency is going to send to Mars, will it have any life detection experiments on it?" And I'm just going to read a bit of his email. He says, "In short, no, not like Viking had. What it's going to have is a high-resolution spectrometer that scans across a wide range of wavelengths to study minerals and organics." Okay? But it is technically not a biology experiment. So we're getting this tease again. And this is what all of the rovers have done. The public understands that NASA is sending rovers to Mars, and that they're sifting through very carefully with excruciating detail and looking. They're trying really hard, guys. They're trying really hard. Give us credit. We're trying really hard. We're doing the best we can. We're sending all these rovers there, but they're not doing that. They're not actually sending biology experiments there. They've only done it once. So, mass spectroscopy is an important tool, okay? Scientists rely on this, where they shine a laser at something, see what frequencies come back, and they can kind of tell what that material is made out of. That's a really important tool. And it's a well-respected tool, but it is not a biology experiment. So they're misleading us into thinking that they're looking for life when no, what they want to do is look for everything around life. My friend George Howard, who some of you know, he runs the Cosmic Summit.
Cosmic Tusk. Shout out the Cosmic Tusk.
He's so funny how he characterizes this argument. He says NASA is interested in looking for the building blocks of life. We've heard this, looking for the building blocks of life. And he said, he's sitting there in front of me and he's telling me, well, Brian, I could look at you and say, well, there's the building blocks of life sitting right in front of me. But I could also say that you're also a living being, right? They're looking for the amino acids and organic material and minerals that could be possibly maybe indicative of past life, but they're not actually looking. So, okay, don't want to beat a dead horse. Let me get into my presentation. We'll understand exactly what I'm talking about here. All right?
Mineral wealth. They're looking for mineral wealth. Yeah, that's the most important thing.
Look, I like NASA. They give us so much good, okay? They give us so much good. We understand the universe. We understand a lot more about space because of them. But they're just leaving some details out. And if more people knew about this stuff, they might get as fired up as I do. So, and we've been talking about artifacts and pyramids and UFOs, which is cool. I find this other stuff to be equally as cool, but, it's still controversial among astrobiology community. Okay, can you guys see this? Wait, I got excited. Here, share screen. Here we go. All right. Screen one. Boom. All right. Microbial life.
You on that, Megan? Yeah, good.
Okay. You guys can see this?
Yes, sir.
Okay. Guys, where do microbes live?
Water.
On me.
Jason, Oleg, Megan, where do they live?
Everywhere.
Wherever they can find something to sustain themselves upon.
On the outside of the ISS, in space,
Yes.
in asteroids.
Yes, they live everywhere. Okay. In fact, someone made the comment of extremophiles. Microbes can be found high in the atmosphere, deep in the crust of the Earth, in hydrothermal vents, directly in ice. You just said it, Jean, on the outside window of the International Space Station, and most fascinatingly, directly in nuclear waste.
Wow.
Okay? We know this. This is facts, right? So, should it come as any surprise that we can consider the possibility of microbes living in the dirt on the surface of the Martian world?
It's literally our next door neighbor, so it's not a stretch.
No,
Why?
Microbes are extreme. If they can survive these conditions, I would argue that microbes are having a picnic. They're having a beach day on Mars. It's no problem.
Someone made a comment earlier about a tardigrade government on under the surface of Mars. I like that thought.
Brian, this picture you paint for me, so why the damn carrot? Why are they constantly telling us we're going to Mars looking for life when, as this picture you've painted for us, we already know microbes are everywhere? It's so infuriating, yeah?
Yeah, brother. I mean, that's exactly what has got me so, charged up about this, because we're talking about, like right here on this live stream, okay? We're talking about something that is paradigm shifting. Aside from all the other stuff, even just this, right? Even just this changes the entire narrative. I think two things can be true at the same time. Earth is a very special place to live.
Of course.
Now, if we can understand, if we can acknowledge that life isn't only found here, yes, we can understand that life isn't as specific to the Earth as we once thought before, but that life is more ubiquitous throughout the universe. And what we're going to get into today is that, you know, even as close to even right next door, we've got enough evidence and what I would argue conclusive evidence, and we'll get into the details. But what we are charged with doing, our challenge, is to right a 50-year injustice. We are dealing with 50 years of narrative here. And that's a tall order to try to convince not just the public, but academia that there's microbial life on Mars. And to do that, we have to educate. We have to educate the public, and we have to educate academia. Now, academia should be educating themselves, but in my experience, they're not. I've spoken with enough astrobiologists to know that they don't know the history. And look, I didn't know it either. But then I started digging. You guys ever dig for stuff? Like go down rabbit holes and meet people and like, holy shit, I didn't know this about that, whatever, right? You meet people who know more stuff than you, and then you just soak it in. You're like, how come nobody else knows this? So the astrobiologists are people too. They were taught just like we were taught certain things about life, but you have to be open to hearing things you haven't heard before, even if it's not the consensus. Consensus can sometimes be wrong. So let's talk about the history, of which I would argue, again, most astrobiologists don't even know. In 1976, they send two of these things down to the planet, okay? This high-tech, yet, relatively speaking, hideous piece of machinery. Okay, but it had a bunch of cool stuff on it, man. It measured the atmosphere. It actually did have biology experiments. In fact, it had 3.
I'm sorry to laugh. I'm not sure I'd make it to the grocery store in that thing, let alone Mars. But all right. That's great.
Yeah.
Who's homeboy here? Who's this guy?
Carl Sagan.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Right.
Oh, posing in the desert where they pretend to go to another planet. I see. That's just perfect.
So
But the desert looks just like those photos you showed us of Mars earlier.
That's
So
what I'm saying.
Right.
It's all-
they could get away with it.
It's too much, Brian. They put they're trolling us with Carl Sagan in front of that thing in the desert.
yeah. So for those of you who are familiar with Carl Sagan and his Cosmos, he had a Cosmos book and a Cosmos TV series back in 1980. There was actually an episode entirely devoted to Mars, and it's a wonderful series, and he's such an excellent presenter. But he was talking about the significance of this mission even back then, and even in that episode, he's talking about pyramids and stuff, man. But anyway, we'll get back to that later. This lander, and again, there were 2 of these that were sent to Mars, landed on opposite sides of the planet. Each one was equipped with 3 biology experiments, okay, life detection experiments. These what it was called. One was called the gas exchange, pyrolytic release, and labeled release. Now, as you can see here, there was this box that they had to fit all of these experiments in, right? And here's just the schematic of this is the life detection component of the mission. And they had to fit in 3 different biology experiments. What we're going to be focusing on mainly is this third one here called the labeled release experiment. Okay, and it's just a general schematic of how it works, and actually just to make it easy to understand, I came up with this, okay? What the Viking lander was equipped to do is it did have a little scoop, okay? If we want to go study the soil and see if there's any microbes living in it, well, what do we got to do? We got to go dig a little bit up and take a closer look at it. So that's what this thing did. It had a little arm, it gathered some soil, and it brought it into that life detection component of the Viking lander, and then it split the soil up and ran it through the different experiments, and each one was either looking for microbial respiration or microbial metabolism. Okay? And this labeled release experiment was designed to detect microbial metabolism. All right? So what it did was it scooped up this soil, and Viking was equipped with a nutrient solution that it just poured into the soil to see what would happen. Okay? Because if there were microbes in the soil that ate and metabolized this food, they would produce gas.
Oh, that picture. Oh my goodness.
It's
Methane. Methane. Mm.
okay.
The rovers have detected lots of that.
It was that simple. Okay? Now, this experiment was not designed by NASA. This experiment was designed by Dr. Gil Levin, who got a bachelor's, master's, and PhD in sanitation engineering. Prior to being a part of the Viking mission, he designed this gizmo all by himself for the sole purpose of detecting whether or not the water and soil he was, to test water and soil to see if it had any pathogens in it. Okay, being a sanitation engineer, you got to figure out whether or not the water supply is any good or if it's going to make people sick. So he designed this thing single-handedly. All right, and this labeled release experiment was run over 4,000 times here on Earth. It tested everything from moon soil to the Antarctic soil. It never produced a false positive nor a false negative. In my opinion, I consider that to be a perfect test. And you know NASA. NASA only wants to send things out into outer space that they can rely on to work. They don't want to send things that maybe work, but no, they need redundancy. They want mission critical elements to their engineering. They do fantastic engineering. And thanks to geniuses like this guy, they could send up a biology experiment to Mars and know that it was highly reliable. Okay? Now, joining him to adapt this labeled release experiment to the Viking mission was Dr. Patricia Ann Stratt. There you can see her tinkering with this gizmo in the lab. All right? Gil Levin got connected with NASA at a cocktail party. This story was relayed to me by, again, this guy named Barry DiGregorio. Gil Levin ran into the administrator of NASA at the time, and he said, hey, I hear you guys are going to Mars. Do you have any interest in searching for microbial life there? And the administrator said, yes. And Gil Levin said, well, guess what? I've got just the thing for you. I've got a gizmo that can provide essentially 100% reliable results on whether or not soil has any microbes in it. So they hired him to do just that. And then Gil Levin hired Patricia Ann Stratt, and the two of them are credited as the people responsible for the labeled release experiment in the Viking mission. So they send it to Mars on two different landers. The question is, did the labeled release experiment find life? I guess you could see where this is going. Okay. It did exactly what it was designed to do, not at just one landing site, but at two.
I'm really enjoying the humor in the presentation as well, just because it highlights the sort of ridiculousness of the narrative we've been fed, right, Jason?
Yeah, and I completely agree, man. It's as it should be handled, with humor, and because it's as you said, it's humorous, dude, that they're still trying to tell us they're going for microbial life, and you've just shown me this perfect experiment that they took up there, looked for microbial life, and as I see in front of me, twice went, hell yeah, because we found it. It's Lies, such lies.
Shout
So-
out to Stone Cold Steve Austin too.
And we're going to get into why they've backtracked on this, and I have to explain all this. There's 50 years of history that needs to be condensed, and then people need to understand. Now, look, you don't need to take my word for it. Again, I'm just the guy covering this stuff because I find it all very fascinating. I wouldn't know any of this stuff if it weren't for the experts who have actually done the hard work at studying this stuff. So here we can see Dr. Gil Levin, our buddy George Howard. He's very familiar with all of this. My current go-to guys on all of this are Stephen Benner and Barry DiGregorio. Barry DiGregorio actually wrote a book called Mars the Living Planet, which is basically a recounting of the entire Viking mission, specifically these biology experiments, and also serves as a biography for Gil Levin. So he was doing all of this 30 years before I was, and he's got an incredibly great book for those people who want to know more about the details. All right, but Dr. Stephen Benner characterizes these 3 biology experiments, and he says that basically all 3 Viking biology experiments produce results with autotrophic microbial respiration and metabolism. I left that off there. But in other words, NASA detected active microbial life on Mars in 1976. Okay, Benner has either excruciating or exquisitely detailed analysis of all of this on his blog. He's published. He's an award-winning biochemist. He's invented an entire field of biology called synthetic biology, where he makes alternative forms of DNA. Okay, the guy's a genius. He's studied all of the Viking mission logs, like everything. He knows these things inside and out. He knows the Viking biology experiments better than anybody on the planet. Okay, he is my go-to source on all of this stuff, and he's not wrong. All right, so why didn't NASA break out the champagne right then and there? Okay, because NASA, they're like, wait a minute, okay, Gil, and other, the other biology experiments, they tested essentially positive here. Why did NASA call a timeout? Well, unfortunately, there was this other test called the gas chromatograph mass spectrometer, the GCMS, which did not find organic matter in the soil. It was designed as an organics test. Okay, this was not considered a biology experiment because all it's doing is testing for organic matter. And what is organic matter? It's, when things die and they decay. Okay, it's compost, it's leaves when they die and, turn into organic matter that enriches the soil that then new life can spring out of. Right? This did not find any organic matter in the soil. Let's see here. And again, here's Dr. Gil Levin on the left and Barry DiGregorio on the right. This is Barry's book, Mars the Living Planet. He outlines all of this in great detail, the Viking mission biology experiments. But the this GCMS test, all right, just a little bit of history here. They sent both the GCMS test, this organics test, and the labeled release experiment by Dr. Gil Levin, they sent it to Antarctica. Prior to sending it to Mars, they wanted to test the Antarctic soil to see if it had any life in it and to see if it had any organic matter in it. Now, they knew this, they studied Antarctica enough to know that there is both life down there and organic matter in the soil. There's vegetation native to that continent. Okay. Unfortunately, the GCMS could not even find the organic matter in the soil of Antarctica, but they sent it to Mars anyway. This to me is a tragedy. So essentially, it wasn't sensitive enough to detect the organics it was designed to look for, but they still sent it to Mars anyway. And because it came back negative, NASA was forced to reckon with this question: how do you have life on Mars without any organic matter?
I think it was intentional as a cop-out, a built-in plausible deniability thing. I didn't know this. This is incredible. Yeah. Doomed to fail.
This is why I get so fired up, because this biology, this organics test essentially nullified the positive results of all 3 biology experiments. And because of this, NASA wasn't so enthusiastic about saying we've discovered life on Mars. They said at first the test results were inconclusive. And this is what most astrobiologists will tell you today. They'll say the Viking life test results were inconclusive. They don't know why. They can't tell you this because they haven't studied the history. How do I know? Because I've talked to them. And this is what frustrates me. They don't understand the history of their own field. This is arguably one of the biggest questions mankind has been left to reconcile. Is there any life anywhere? And we discovered it in 1976, and one faulty or insensitive, a test that wasn't sensitive enough is going to determine the whole narrative for 50 years? I don't think so. Okay? Now, what makes this story even worse is that NASA had a chance to fix this narrative when the Curiosity rover found the organic matter in the soil of Mars. It's there. It's always been there. And had they found it in 1976, I think, we could only speculate, but perhaps their narrative would have been, yep, we found it. So because they didn't find the organic matter in 1976, they had decades of people publishing research papers saying, well, if it's not life, then maybe it was a chemical reaction.
Isn't that what life isn't life a chemical reaction, Brian?
Strictly chemicals relating to oxidants and sunlight and things of that nature. And a lot of people have adopted that narrative. I'm not sure if it's part of my slide, but we'll get into it. Let's see, what's the next slide here? Okay, yes. NASA says evidence for microbial life on Mars is ambiguous, or worse, there's absolutely no evidence for life on Mars. And of course, this is just plain wrong. Astrobiologists don't know this. Ask me how I know. Yes. Okay. You guys know the James Webb Space Telescope, right?
Oh, yeah.
Okay. You might have seen headlines over the past couple of years where scientists, you can see here, detect signature of life on a distant planet. Scientists are using the James Webb Space Telescope to look at the atmospheres of planets circling other stars. And headlines were made as recently as last year saying that scientists have spotted signs of life on other planets. Okay? They found you've heard this other word, biosignature. They found a biosignature in the atmosphere of exoplanets. And what the James Webb Space Telescope is looking for that caused all this commotion is something called dimethyl sulfide. Dimethyl sulfide is a biosignature. Okay? Dimethyl sulfide is an organic substance produced by marine algae that gives us the smell of the sea. Okay? Now, guess what? The Curiosity rover, when it found the organics on Mars, it also found dimethyl sulfide on Mars. Why haven't we made a bigger deal about this? Why didn't this make headline news like the James Webb Space Telescope exoplanet atmosphere stuff? It's right next door. NASA on their website said that dimethyl sulfide on Earth is only produced by microbes. Okay? You can only get it by active microbial life. It's the only goddamn thing that makes it. Okay? So, again, you can see why I'm sorry. I'm getting charged up as I go.
No,
through
I
it.
can. I'm just laughing because I can hear your. This is the tone I hear in your X posts.
I'm sorry. I know. I gotta. I know. You got a prescription for me, Dave, that I'm gonna work on here.
Oh yeah. Oh,
Let it
yeah.
out, Brian. Let it out.
All right. Okay. Next, Dr. Sergei Pershin, who worked as a principal investigator for certain NASA missions in the year 2000, he discovered organic pigments. Through the use of spectroscopy, he discovered organic pigments. Now, does anybody know what I mean when I say organic pigment? What is an example of an organic pigment?
I don't know. Oleg, do you know?
There's a
I
beat-
think it's shown on the slide.
Green.
that lipstick that Megan is wearing comes from a bunch of tiny little female beetles. I forget what they're called, but they're red, and they have to grow like thousands of them and grind them up to make the red pigment that goes in
Oh
lipstick.
no, this comes from Mars, guys. This is straight from Mars.
There you go. Who said green? Dave, did you say green?
I said green, but because Oleg said it's on the it's on the slide. But yeah, then when you think about our planet, it's green and blue, right?
Okay, so this word pigment is another word for saying what?
Color.
Color. Okay. So what is a color here on Earth that we associate with life?
Green.
Green. Like what? Trees?
Yeah, trees,
Okay.
bushes, yeah, all that.
What
stuff. Grass.
gives plants their green color?
Chlorophyll.
Oh, you beat me to it. Chlorophyll, more like borophyll.
There you go. And guess what? Dr. Carol Stoker, who still works at NASA today through the use of spectroscopy, found chlorophyll on Mars.
What the?
Now, she was only allowed to publish an abstract on this for a conference of astrobiologists 20 years ago or so. She said she was going to publish a full paper, but that full paper never came. Word on the street is she got tapped on the shoulder saying, don't publish that paper. And we never got it. But we did get an abstract. It's a paragraph long. Okay. Now, spectroscopy is not life detection like we were talking about, but it is a highly respected tool. Now, even if it's not true, I would hope that those at NASA would at least want to follow up on this and at least confirm or deny, because chlorophyll on Mars sounds to me like a pretty big deal. We're going to talk about, okay, so next, when people say the mainstream astrobiology community wants to tease us with the possibility of finding microbial life on Mars, and because they've adopted this narrative that they never found any on the surface, that it must be underground. Maybe it's still there, but it's underground, okay? But I'm arguing that no, it's still on the surface, and we're going to talk about the surface and the importance of that in a second. Jean, you mentioned this a moment ago. Has anyone heard about rock varnish? Desert varnish. You guys ever see this? It's this black coating on rocks.
Uh-huh.
Okay. Sometimes you'll even see black coating on rocks, but some of it's scraped off. Ancient cultures use this and they scrape off and they make these petroglyphs. Okay. So you'll sometimes see petroglyphs based off of like where people have scraped off and made art into it. Okay. It's this black coating that forms on rocks after microbes ingest manganese, and through centuries of time, it produces this black varnish, what they call desert varnish or rock varnish, usually found on rocks out in the desert, that is indicative of microbial life producing this and accumulating over the rock itself. All right. Oh, here we go. Petroglyphs. Okay. We see these all the time in the ancient civilization stuff that we get into, right? Petroglyphs found all over the world. They use it as sort of like inverse art, right? You just scrape it away. It's not painted on, you just scrape it away. Mm-hmm. Well, thanks to my good friend Barry DiGregorio, there he is again. I learned a lot from him. This author of this book, he's an astrobiologist, honorary research fellow for the Buckingham Center for Astrobiology in the United Kingdom. Thanks to him, we have a better understanding of rock varnish. And basically, rock varnish is very hard, dark, but shiny coating on rocks and pebbles, which is produced by chemical and biological weathering process. It's both chemical and biological working in tandem after many thousands of years. Almost all rock varnish is produced as a result of bacteria, fungi, algae, or lichens pulling chemicals from the rock and creating new layers over a century of time. And we see it on Mars. Okay? Now, there's plenty more photos of this. I know John's even did a video about this, too. NASA is aware of this. How do we know? Because NASA published a paper on it. They probably published multiple papers on it. Now, their conclusion here is, given the extensive evidence that atmospheric O2 with biological mediation is the preferred pathway for manganese oxidation on Earth, and the lack of direct evidence for life on Mars, the precipitation of manganese oxides on Mars either points to alkaline ground or lake water, or a yet unknown mechanism. So what they're basically saying is, because we have no evidence for microbial life on Mars, this manganese oxidation, quote-unquote rock varnish, must be produced by some yet unknown mechanism, or maybe water. Okay? Because they cannot and will not invoke biology as the cause for this, they don't know. They just shrug their shoulders because they're completely ruling out direct evidence for life on Mars. But I just showed you. We have direct evidence for life on Mars. It came from Viking. But they're not factoring that in because NASA doesn't allow that narrative. They say you have to publish these papers, but you cannot factor in Viking. So...
but they factor in Viking in order to tell me that the tests which were on there that proved microbial life, they built in the false positive looking for organics. So they're going to use that to tell me that there wasn't microbial life. That's so confusing, dude. And it's so damn frustrating. I get now. I'm feeling it with you, dude.
Right. So look at all these people here on this paper. I mean, these are all people affiliated with NASA and academia, or a yet unknown mechanism. So they're bending over backwards here to try to explain. I mean, this is not sexy stuff relative to the other stuff we talked about, but here is photographic evidence, and evidence you can submit in a court of law. Photographs hold up, right? That we have active microbial life on the surface of Mars, not just underground. We're seeing it in these goddamn pictures. All right, so yes, Mars is having a field day. And China wants to go to Mars. Are we going to let them claim credit for discovering?
Trump won't let him do that. That's for sure. If he can claim credit for something, he will. So sorry to bring him up, but don't go crazy on me, chat.
Can we comment on Rue's question here, just about I think he's asking, is NASA within NASA? Are they sharing this information, or is it restricted for everyone?
If you go on NASA's website today, they'll tell you there's no evidence for life on Mars. So these two people here arguably should be credited, given the Nobel Prize for discovering life on a different planet, being the first people to do so. Now, I alluded to the fact that since Viking, in the wake of the Viking debacle, since NASA blew the call relating to this organics test, that there have been many papers published trying to demonstrate how these positive life test results were the result of a chemical reaction. Sunlight interacting with oxidants in the soil. All right. To date, no chemical explanation has adequately explained these results, despite whatever paper was published. And just to make things simple, a lot of people want to claim that this thing called perchlorates, which is an oxidant, was responsible for producing this positive life test result found by the labeled release experiment. Now, in order for the perchlorates to have an interaction to produce a positive life test result, it would have required temperatures equivalent with combustion. Okay, let me rephrase this. The paper saying that perchlorates caused this positive life test result on Mars, it was done in a laboratory and it was not run under Mars conditions. Okay, perchlorates are actually used in fireworks. So a firework can produce this positive life test result. But on Mars, we have cold temperatures. Perchlorates at Mars cold temperatures do not do anything. I know this because of Stephen Benner. He talks about this. So they don't want to acknowledge that the conditions run in the laboratory to produce this positive life test result do not match the conditions of Mars. And there are other similar chemical papers that try to show how there was a chemical reaction, but none of them were run at Mars conditions. So that is the main criticism against the Mars life test results, is that it was a chemical reaction. But so far, none adequately explains it because they're not reproducing, not being faithful to the conditions of Mars. So thank you guys for listening to all that. There it is.
Brian, you're absolutely on fire tonight. I just want to say, outstanding presentation. If you guys are watching and not subscribed to Brian Cory Dobbs on Blue Planet Red and on YouTube and on X, go ahead and do that right now. Jean just showed us they're lying about the color. They're Brian clearly demonstrated that they're obfuscating the truth about life on Mars. It seems like willful ignorance or willful blindness. I can't quite figure it out. I keep thinking this is coming up in the chat a lot too. The concept of ontological shock, and the reason why they don't tell us is because it would freak everyone out and destabilize people. And I just keep thinking, like, okay, if you showed me that when I was 8 or 10 years old, I would have been excited. But, and I mean this with love, okay, I really do. There are people out there that I call NPCs, which I need a different word for because it comes off as mean, okay? But many, many people, and I mean like half of the humans on this planet, for whatever psychological reason or whatever, they really do need some kind of paradigm to then live under, right? And so there is some truth to the idea that if in 1976 they were like, life on Mars, I do think that about half the people on the planet would have freaked the fuck out. Excuse my language. And so I'm just trying to understand why they would do this. I wanted to open that question generally up to the chat to the panel before we get to Jean's presentation. But like Brian clearly, like, this is not an argument anymore. So why, is it because I think ontological shock could, especially in 1976, is a good explanation. Megan, what do you think?
Like, I can't imagine, like, if you said life on Mars but didn't explain it was like microbes, maybe people would freak out. But I think if you told people microbes on Mars, like, I don't think people would be like, oh my God. like jumping off bridges and like I
Not going to work anymore.
I don't even think that is like a good explanation. Like, I don't
I'm
know.
just trying to wrap my brain around it. Oleg, what do you think?
Yeah, I agree that such headlines as Life on Mars in 1976 could have shocked people. So, but again, there have been plenty of lies back then during the Cold War, etc. And nowadays we learn that, okay, these were lies both in the East and the West to change the opinion of the public, but right now we know there are lies, so why they are not saying, okay, we lied about that there is no life on Mars, why are we not changing it right now, just as other aspects that were lies back then? So
Yeah, that's funny. Ricardo said, "Always remember, Earth microbes defeated the Martians." Jason, why are we doing this? Like, what is this? What's this little dance about?
Dave, I don't know. I wish I did. It reminds me the frustration I get is in my circle. I'm always bumping up against, as I mentioned earlier, the transoceanic journey, right? And I can kind of trace that back to the 1800s, to the issues that we get with land and who belongs to what if they start admitting a narrative. But with this one, bro, I don't understand other than from the most macro view. Here's what I can say, okay? Secrets and power, they go together, bro, and they don't need a reason because they make each other. So as soon as you have an organization that says, hey, we know something that I bet every fucking body wants to know, what's that? It doesn't matter what I say after that. It could be that I've got life on Mars. It could be that I've got copper in the UP of Michigan when I'm in the old world. It doesn't matter. I have information that has a power behind it. So if I make it a secret, right, I can then do all kinds of things with it, but most importantly, I've got power. Then I've got a narrative. Then perhaps I build myself a narrative that later I've got to be like they are now, sitting here looking back, contradicting myself, going, what the hell do we do now? We've just got to start faking everything because it's all coming out, you know, what tangled webs we weave when first we practice to deceive. But just like with the transoceanic journey, I think we're going to see here with Mars disclosure and hopefully even with lunar disclosure. I love that topic as well. These truths start to percolate through as the veil that's been painted starts to just kind of eat its own tail, you know?
Yeah. There was a comment. The Brookings report from the 1960s clearly advised against disclosure, citing disruption and panic. Sean, is that the reason?
No. They created that. I know it's not my turn, but I didn't answer your ontological shock. Listen, they created that. Remember Orson Welles? Remember the fear of people coming from other places? And, you know, you've got the whole blue beam thing. They need the fear aspect, and they've created it themselves, and we've all bought into it. And now they're going to say, because of the fear we created, we can't tell you because you'll freak out. And that's just BS, bottom line.
Let me also add before I forget here, Megan, you asked why haven't we just sent microscopes there? Okay, so why haven't we followed up? If there's even a question, why haven't we just sent more biology experiments there? Well, it's not like there haven't been people who have lobbied for that. I just think that the cultural, or rather the narrative that just set in too deeply for people to even consider sending biology experiments there. They consider it to be a waste. They consider it to be, well, we've already answered this question. There's no need to do it. There was Professor Richard Hoover, who I mentioned earlier, who used to work for NASA. He's one of the few people who actually, you know, can talk to about NASA and NASA's culture. And Ron Levin, the son of Dr. Gil Levin. Gil Levin passed away, but I'm in touch with his son, Ron. Ron and Professor Hoover personally met with SpaceX a few years ago. And they said, hey, you guys, before you send humans there to Mars, you should send a biology experiment just to confirm or deny microbes. And we think you should send an updated version of the labeled release experiment as well as a video microscope. Now, the response that they got from SpaceX was that, okay, well, we'll send it there provided that you guys actually design it, which costs millions of dollars to do, which they don't have the resources to do. But they also said that SpaceX said they'd send it for free if you guys designed it. But they emphasized that their main objective now is just getting a rocket there and getting people there. They're more concerned about the colonization aspect of this rather than the discovery of microbes. And in my opinion, the confirmation of microbes on the planet presents a conflict of interest because it does raise two different concerns. One, arguably, maybe you don't care about ethical concerns. There's indigenous life there. Should we go and mess with it? Number two, is this life harmful to humans? You'd think that before we send astronauts there, we just want to know more about the potential microbial existence there to understand what we're up against.
Yep.
And Hoover thinks that this is actually, it is absolutely imperative that we understand the biosphere of Mars before we do that. And I mentioned Stephen Benner a little while ago. Stephen Benner and a few other scientists down in Florida are actually working on an entirely different gizmo that they have a working prototype of. I mentioned Stephen Benner talking about inventing synthetic biology as a field. They've designed a new gizmo. It's a brand new life detection test. It's so sophisticated that all you got to do is run water through it. We drill up water from Mars and we run it through the filtration system of this gizmo, and it is designed to discern the difference between known and unknown forms of DNA.
Yeah.
They have tested this and it works. Do we have the will to send it? Okay, I interviewed this group a couple years ago. For those people interested, you can see these people working on this thing and their gizmo. They've got a prototype of this thing working. I think they need to make it launch ready. But this is how it's designed to work. So even if you don't like any of the other biology experiments that we sent before, there's a new one, and it works. And they tested it because Stephen Benner can literally create alien forms of DNA with alternate structures of DNA. I'm a kind of a dummy with this, but he can do this. So use that with regular DNA and see how this machine works, and it works perfectly. So, and he knows the people at NASA. They know him. It's just a matter of whether or not they want to send it there. So it's not like there isn't the interest in doing that among some people. It's just a matter of whether or not NASA or SpaceX actually want to include it on there. Because if we do find life there, well, then it raises these other concerns like I just talked about, ethical and astronaut safety. So there are those people interested in doing that.
Brian, do you want to cover the Brookings and Deloitte?
Yeah.
Somebody brought it up in the chat, so
Right.
we might as well.
Well, let's 60 seconds on Deloitte. Deloitte is a risk analysis consulting firm, as far as I know. Every year, there are these risk assessments for industries, okay, that consultants offer companies, saying, hey, look, we've analyzed the landscape, and here's what we think could impact your business. Deloitte is one of these companies who does these risk analysis assessments. And just do a quick share here. Let me just bring it up here. Deloitte, screen 2, boom. Okay, so recently, here's the title page. These things get released. This is the 2026. Okay, and it was interesting. Jean brought this to my attention.
Notice the URL. Sorry to interrupt you. CH Deloitte, Foresight, Black Swans.
Yeah.
Wow.
Yeah, Black Swans. Eh?
I don't know who it was, but somebody got a super chat, so I might as well highlight it. They will never send more life detection. They will avoid or destroy anything that looks like fossil or artificial, all to avoid big disclosure. Anything they send will mysteriously malfunction. Whoever got $9.99 for that, thank you so much. Really appreciate it. And thank you, chat.
Thank you, chat. Yes, we're going to be talking about that because there's actually truth in what that comment just said about finding and destroying. But that's a different episode we're going to get into when we talk about fossils. All right, it's a whole thing. But this, thank you, Jean, for bringing this to my attention. It's just interesting. UFOs, kind of tangentially relate to Mars here, as we've seen recently. But they're saying, hey, look, guys, this whole disclosure movement that's happening now. I forget what industry this was produced for, Jean, but
Financial industry, I think.
okay. All right. So here's this risk assessment saying, hey, look, guys, UFOs might disrupt financial markets. All right. So insurance companies do these sorts of things. Insurance companies want to know what the hell is going on, what could possibly disrupt business, because if things go sideways, insurance companies are going to have to pay out, right? So insurance companies want to know what the hell is going on. All right, I have seen these risk assessment documents before. Before I got into Mars, just a side note, before I got into Mars, oh, thank you, R.K. Miller. Before I got into Mars, I was working on an entirely different subject, okay? And I came across these risk analysis reports. And for those people who want to know what that was, I'd be happy to talk to you offline. It's unrelated to Mars. But it's just interesting now that financial markets, very serious people, are taking this whole disclosure thing seriously. So I have to switch over now because how does this relate more directly with Mars? We have did we lose Dave and Megan? I don't know what happened.
Well, Megan gave us a note in the chat. She'll be right back.
Oh, okay.
Dave, there's Megan, and yeah, we lost Dave, it would appear.
Yeah,
Okay.
and the screen share stopped as well.
I'm sure he'll pop back on here.
You want to show the Brookings Institute report?
Yes. So we've
Has
anyone?
The Deloitte report
Yes.
briefly touches on certain aspects of this Brookings report, which was written in 1959 or something.
Oh, I must have missed that. I'm sorry, John.
Yeah, there's a couple of bullet points. They talk about AI being a threat, disclosure being a threat, and then I think they recommend withholding certain discoveries from
Okay.
the public as well.
Well, yes. So we've heard this Brookings report. Okay, someone brought it up in the chat. What the hell is the Brookings report? The Brookings report was a report produced by a consulting firm in the few years preceding the creation of the agency we know as NASA. It was used by NASA as sort of a guideline about how to deal with the information that they discover and what they release to the public. There's a Wikipedia page. You could go and look this up for yourself. You can actually go look at the report yourself. But I have 4 slides here that are interesting to have as context in as it relates to the discussion that we're having about these artifacts and these strange things that we're finding on Mars. So let's just show that. Let me share my screen here. Bring this over here. Okay. All right. Okay. All right. Here we go. Screen 2. Okay. So in this, can you guys see this? Okay. I've just highlighted a few things. This was given to NASA, okay? And this consulting firm is basically advising this newly created agency. They're saying, it is conceivable that there is semi-intelligent life in some part of our solar system. This came out in, 1960, I think, right, John? It is conceivable that there is semi-intelligent life in some part of our solar system. Artifacts left at some point in time by these life forms might possibly be discovered through our space activities on the moon, Mars, or Venus, meaning to say, hey, NASA, you're going to go out and you're going to start exploring the solar system. You might come across some funny looking things. Okay? All right. So, okay, that's the first slide here. Second slide. Anthropological files contain many examples of societies sure of their place in the universe, which have disintegrated when they have had to associate with previously unfamiliar societies. So they're basically saying, hey, look, historical precedent shows that certain societies have a problem when they are challenged with their place in the world, when they're discovering new, unfamiliar societies. So here's what we recommend to you, NASA. Brookings is recommending this to NASA. We recommend that you continue studies to determine the emotional and intellectual understanding and attitudes and successive alterations of them. Okay? Study the public. All right? Have your pulse, have your finger on the pulse of what the public might feel and think. Okay? And consider how might such information, under what circumstances, be presented to or withheld from the public for what ends. Here's a consulting agency advising NASA. You're going to find some stuff. You might find some stuff. Think twice about whether or not you want the public to know. Okay? And lastly, that's okay. No, that was it. That was it. I just find this, and then the question becomes, well, is NASA still running this playbook? This is what was delivered to NASA in 1960 for them to take into consideration as they go and explore the solar system. And the question is whether or not this playbook has been institutionalized. Is NASA purposely withholding information? It's debatable. I would argue at least they're not being forthright with what they have discovered and leaving it to people like Jean to go sift through thousands of images. John's not the only one, but there's plenty of other people doing it to find these things. They leave it to the independent researchers to find these things. That way NASA has plausible deniability. They say, well, it's just some guy in South Africa. What does he know? Because what we expect is that NASA is doing this hard work at, they're really trying to look for life. No, guys, trust us. We're looking for this. And they do great feats of engineering. It's just that they're discovering a whole lot that they're really not being, they're not highlighting for the public. And I think that's what the public expects. This is my speculation, of course, but I think the public looks to NASA as being like, look, if you actually find something, you're going to inform us, right? But all we get from them is really press releases about geology. So there is historical precedent. There is reason to suspect that NASA is withholding information based off of this Brookings report. That's what the Brookings report is all about. Anything to add, John?
No, thanks, Brian. That was it. Perfect. Shall I share my screen and dig into more anomalies?
Yeah, let's do it. Sorry, I got kicked out there.
Dave's, are you there? Still?
I'm here. Yeah, can you guys hear me? My computer took a shit.
Okay.
But I'm back. Anyone want to comment on that Brookings report before we move on?
Okay, so to segue here.
Try and share that one more time.
Can you guys hear me?
Should I do the share again?
Okay.
Yeah, if you do it again. Sorry about that.
Okey-dokes.
I just wanted to say sorry, but I've been, all the weekend doing things and I need to wake up tomorrow early, so I think I will go right now. Tons of information, tons of amazing stuff today that was covered. And
Oleg,
I will watch
can
the
you stick
later
around?
part.
Can you watch? Can you stick around for 60 more seconds?
Yeah,
We
sure,
we
sure.
we have this is the participation portion of it, so I want to get your take on this. It's important
Okay.
because you have a bright
Okay,
mind.
no
and
problem.
I'm sorry. Yeah. This is the exciting part.
Okay.
About 5 minutes, yeah. Okay, so this was brought to my attention by Brian. And he asked me to see if I could extract any useful information from this image. This
Just
is
show
from
the first one. Yeah.
NASA analyst's notebook. So this is one of those photographs.
Hey, John, we're just
Remember it?
seeing we're just seeing the slide here. It just says we're not seeing the photograph.
Right, let me try this one more time. Share.
I was seeing
We're
a
seeing the
photograph.
thumbnail to the live stream and not your PowerPoint.
And share entire screen.
Thanks, Rue. Rue's the best, man. He's always up in here.
Okay,
Yeah.
we see the Mars disclosure thumbnail. Can you go to the image that I sent you?
Why isn't it showing?
If you're,
Strange.
if is it a tab or the entire screen?
Brian,
because
if you have it, you could pull it up, I
If
guess.
you-
Okay, what I'm going to do, let's do this. Share.
because if you're sharing entire screen, it's going to be like whatever your screen is currently
Yes,
on.
that's what I did. Yeah. Can you see this?
We
Yeah,
can
it's
see
just
it,
showing,
but
it's just showing the thumbnail. Are you? Do you have? What do you see on your screen? Do you see the image that I sent you, or is it just the? Is it everybody else is seeing just the thumbnail, right? It says Mars Disclosure live stream.
no, we're all seeing an image, Brian.
All right, let me see.
Yeah, I was seeing like his computer. Yeah.
Yeah,
The
we're
MSL
seeing it.
analyst notebook, loosely compressed 8-bit image, and I have
Yeah.
then the landscape.
We just
Is
had
it-
zoomed into it for a second. That was good, however. However you did that.
I think it's an issue on your end,
Why am I not
Brian.
seeing that?
Is this, can you see the full screen?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Can you see the top GEO
Yeah.
logo?
Yes, yes.
Okay, cool. Then it's sharing. Yeah.
Brian,
am
why
I
don't
not
you
seeing it?
why don't you just reload the page and join back
That's
in?
weird.
That should work.
If you can zoom back into the image again, Gene, that's perfect.
Okay, so that was taken from the NASA analyst's notebook. So the researchers have already converted that grayscale image to color for us. And you can see the sort of red filters being applied here as well. The sky's pinkish.
Okay, now I see it.
Pinkish color. So the item that Brian asked me to look at is highlighted there. I'm sure you guys can start seeing where this is going.
Uh-huh.
Can you guess what that is?
A right angle? I don't know.
Looks like
Okay.
a block.
Oh, what
Yeah.
the?
What? It's got a nub.
Yeah. Okay, yeah, what I've done is I've removed that red filter. And you can see the blue skies back and the grayish sand is back. So that's the true color of that thing. So let's see, there it is.
What the?
What the heck is that?
This was submitted to me by somebody on Twitter. John, do you remember what his name was?
Oh, no, not offhand.
Okay, somebody on Twitter submitted this to me. I apologize, I can't recall the name, but I sent it to John and said, "Hey, let's get a better look at this." It presented to me. I wanted to get the reaction of the room. I just wanted to get your guys' take on this. I felt as though it was strong enough for Jean to cover and do a video on. But what do you guys think?
Let's go to Oleg first, since he's got to get out of here. What do you think, buddy?
Yeah, 3 straight surfaces, right angles, but at the same time, I think the last ones were more convincing, but it looks too regular to be just casual rock, especially when we compare everything that is surrounding it. Yeah,
Yeah.
here we see nothing similar to that.
Yeah, nothing. There's a weird on the left side. It's like a little hatch or something. I don't know what else to call it. That's the first word that came to my mind. But do you guys see that on the left side of it?
Yeah, totally.
Yeah, no, it down the bottom left corner. Circle that. Yeah, that's weird to me. That's the weirdest feature on there to me.
It's like it's resting on it, perhaps even.
Yeah.
So as always, Brian, I see yeah, I see pieces of something, bro. I was out in Hatchet Creek filming just this week on some stuff I put out on X, and there's a rock that as soon as you come up to it, it reminds me of what you're always showing me on Mars, man. And this is no different. I just see a piece of something. There's a lot of it missing, whatever it is.
Yeah, and I think Oleg put it best. It's just like there's nothing else like it. When I see something that's strange and there's nothing else like it in the area, because you see John, if you don't mind just going back a bit, because we see the weathered rocks surrounding it, that all looks natural, but then this thing out of the blue, it didn't fall off the ledge there. It would be weathered the same. Why is that so straight?
All of them have soft edges and it has straight angles.
Right. So this is what I say when these things are anomalous and we come across them. And
Sarah.
Are these nubs? Yeah, like maybe. Who knows?
Yeah. And if you follow my work, you'll know that I've found these huge megaliths on Mars with the knobs or protrusions on them all over the place. Totally destroyed structures.
Yeah, and this comment echoes what I'm thinking, and a lot of the stuff that you show on your channel. And guys, if you're not subscribed to Jean Ward on YouTube, you got to. It's one of the best channels on YouTube. And what Jason said, which is pieces of stuff, right? It's like there was a massive explosion or cataclysm or something that just blew apart whatever potential civilization was there a gajillion years ago, and we just see little pieces of it, and guys like Jean are finding those pieces through painstaking work. So subscribe to Jean Ward on YouTube.
Okay, Jean.
Appreciate that.
So Oleg, I want you to look at this one here too before you go. This goodness, I forget who submitted this, but we've got it. This one, okay. I included this next one in the film before I met Jean and before I could get access to his awesome upscaling ability, and I wanted to get a closer look at this one. It's hard to see from this wide angle, but if you zoom in, I wasn't so sure about this after upscaling. To me, the thing on the left kind of like reminds me of some metal clamp or something just sticking out of the ground. Upscaling, I'm not sure if that really improved, made the case for it or not. Could go back just to the comparison, Jean. The one on the left, it just, like sticking out like a C clamp or something like that of the ground. But zooming into it and getting the upscale on it didn't really move the needle for me. In fact, I wasn't sure what to think. Anyway, I wanted to throw this around the room and see what you guys thought.
Sorry, Brian, this is the benefit of using deconvolution, upscaling. It actually helps you filter out.
Right.
What's anomalous and what's more natural. It actually helps in determining that.
What I would say is that this is just, I think this is important that we do, so that, people don't think that we're just calling anything we see on Mars like a piece of a pyramid or something like that, right? you
Right.
guys are going out of your way to, you know, disclude things that aren't like you're looking at everything and you're taking what's good and what's bad and putting the bad stuff aside and then looking at and analyzing the stuff that might be anomalous. So
Yeah, well, y'all know I'm retarded, but listen, I think you're discounting this a little too early because Brian, I didn't even see. I see the little sort of three, the object that originally drew your eye to this. But bro, when you first showed me the original non-upscaled, my eye was up and to the right, and as I look at this, I again see so much in this picture that if I try to go, I'm here on Earth and I'm going and I'm trying to find remnants of some sort of civilization in stone, what would I be looking for? And when you zoom in and I see those different rocks with the little grooves in them and then the big gray rocks that look like definitely something different than all the little stuff that's scattered everywhere. How did that little stuff get scattered everywhere? This is what that picture does for me. Despite your upscaling, getting rid of your little 3 clamp, I still don't see a landscape that the narrative explains to me.
I also haven't noticed this object, but even before the upscaling, just with this enlargement, I think it's very no the other one like enlargement. You see these pieces look like ceramics or something, and I'm okay. There are brittle stones that can be chopped off similarly to create such things, but you see different colors even in it. So for me, it looks like something artificial when it comes to these rocks.
Yes.
I wanted to shout out the one and only David Stig Hansen in the chat. Love that guy. So just wanted to say hi.
Okay. Moving on here.
The pinwheel. This is the last one. Okay, so this is the original NASA photograph. And we're going to zoom in on the anomaly highlighted there. So conventional magnification versus deconvoluted upscaling. Can you guys hear me?
After this, we have somebody who wants us to go back and zoom in on the last one again, but we'll finish this first.
It was a super chat for so I feel like
Shall we go back quickly?
Oh yeah, let's go back.
Go back quickly. Okay. The
What is it?
request.
Zoom in and look at the center top slightly to left. There is a semicircular tire looking piece. That was there you go.
Oh, I kind of.
Oh, I see it now. It's yeah, I see it. It's you guys can't see my thing, but it's now at the top, very top center, basically, right?
Just a little left of center, yeah.
Yep. Good eye. Good eye.
Where is it? I'm not. Is that it?
At the top, yeah, that's
Yeah,
it.
he's circling it now.
That is a weird piece.
I think my opinion on this one is I think I need to see this from like a different angle to really confirm anything. A lot of it could be like a trick of light and shadow here.
Yeah, the color is crazy. When you drew our eye up there with that super chat, the coloring is crazy.
I see.
Yeah. I think Megan is right though. Like we do need different angles of this stuff.
Yeah.
But obviously we're just working with what John can find and other people like him. But it still raises the question, right?
Totally.
Top right, there's a layer. Look at that. There's a blue stone on top of a gray stone. Where the very top right, that biggest stone you see. Do you see how it's layered there? Great picture.
Yep.
We could look at this picture all day.
We could. Thanks, guys. This is great. The one you meant to be a flub turned out to be a home run.
Wow.
Well, it just goes to show that, you know, Brian's willing to, he puts something in his film and then he's willing to look back at it later and go, well, maybe not, you know? Yeah. And I think that's important for people to understand.
It's the same with that boat or ship that I found, with that funny little grid at the back.
Yeah.
I found an alternate photograph and I upscaled it and it looked pretty much the same, but that grid was gone. So remember those two, we compared them as well. So full disclosure here, total transparency.
I think I see what this person's talking about, the inscription. It almost looks like it says Jan or something in the top right. I see like A-N, Jan or something. Does anyone else
Where?
see that?
Where?
Top right, the biggest, darkest rock has like some letters on it, it almost looks like. Is this, I wonder if this what you're referring to.
I don't see it.
I can't see it. Over here?
Over, yeah, all the way right. The big dark one, yeah, in there, in that one.
Huh.
Sort of like in the middle.
Oh, the little like cursive looking thing?
Yeah, it looks like almost like some sort of inscription.
Oh, I see where you're going. Then if you
Right
look
there.
at it diagonal like that, okay.
Yeah.
All right.
Oh,
See, I was
okay, yeah.
much more on the very far left.
There I see it. The J,
Yeah,
the A.
Jan was there.
There you go.
in.
Yeah.
Yeah, that's funny. Yeah, you could do this all day on Mars, I think.
Wow. Gee, that person must have a huge screen.
Screen, right?
Okay, so the next one, if I can move on, is that okay?
Yeah, go for it.
All right. So there it is. It looks shiny. It looks like something is flying up above the surface. And it's shooting like a beam or something down, or it
Hold
could
on,
be a
hold on.
contrail.
Yeah, that's weird. Somebody commented it's already Monday in Poland, which
Yeah,
is
you're
true.
allowed to go, Alexander, if you need to.
Did you want to comment on this one quick?
Yeah, Oleg, what do you think of this?
Yeah, it looks like something very shiny, and it looks like something that is flying above and either shooting something or having like a rope attached to it, but rope wouldn't be that straight, so probably something more like shooting maybe laser, like Star Wars almost.
People are saying that in the chat. Oleg is our editor in the Multiverse, and he does our intros and our shorts, and he does a fantastic job. He's also the author of Deja Vu, Has Everything Already Been? The link is in the description if you want to get it on Amazon and support the Multiverse. Outstanding book. Final comments on today's presentation, Oleg, before you get out of here?
Yeah, even, I'm probably living halfway, but the first half was amazing, and I see that, the first conversations were, very extremely game-changing in this topic, but I think that the more we have and the more we add to that, it's even completely, like from the last conversation to this, even my vision of Mars, of possibility of life
Loved
on
it.
Mars completely changed, so...
Awesome, man.
Thank you.
Thank you, dude. Thanks.
Thank
And
you,
have a
Oleg.
good week, my friend.
Thanks, Oleg. Have a great one, bro.
Thanks,
Thank
Oleg.
you, bye.
Bye.
Can you guys see this?
Yeah, what are we looking at here? Oh
What
my.
does that look like to you guys?
A skull?
A literal skull, yeah.
It's there. There it is.
Oh. We got another face on Mars?
What is the size of that?
12 meters tall by about 6 meters wide.
Giants, man,
That's
giants.
about 33 feet in length.
Or even
Wow.
33 feet, and you had a 3 earlier in the little image. It could be artwork, right? I mean, it doesn't have to be just a skull. It could be skull artwork, right? A giant carving, maybe.
It definitely looks like skull and crossbones pirate style, like somebody said. I think it was Ricardo.
Head's a little elongatey, if we're looking
Like
at
those skulls that they find in Peru. You don't
Yeah.
get skulls.
They
Oh,
even find
where-
those in the Pacific Northwest. I just want to say.
You're
that,
linking Peru to all this megalithic construction. You're right, Dan Richards. I'm sorry, I interrupted you, Dave.
I'm actually going to, it's okay. I'm going to cover that on Breaking Ancient News in about 30 minutes. So, but you can even see teeth there. What looks like teeth anyway. At the bottom, you see a nose, you see a brow ridge, you see eye sockets. You know what I'm saying?
Yeah. I mean, you do. You see a very elongated skull face, and Jean ties it to Peru, where all of this construction-like stuff. He's find the ruins.
Yeah.
They look like the ruins in Peru. I mean, I'm with you, bro. It's a picture you're painting.
These are all the blocks that I find there.
In the same area.
Yeah, so there's one of those blocks with a protrusion on it.
Mm-hmm.
And this is 6 meters long. I just want to show you.
That
Yeah,
circle one is weird.
All of them.
Yeah. But check out these blocks. They're all about 6 to 8 meters in length. There's another one with a protrusion inside it.
Wow. Huh. If these were rocks, every single one of them in a creek would have been picked up by me. I mean, they all have what draws your eye when you're looking
Wow,
for
that one's
non-natural.
wild.
Look at this. It's got its own shadow.
Look at that thing.
Uh,
I don't know what that is. Wreckage of some type of mission that failed.
Amazing.
The scale of these things is what gets me, Jean.
Yeah. 6 to 8 meters in length.
Yeah.
Can you go up to that one right above this one? That's so weird.
There's a lot of those that almost look like a pig snout that are somehow, that's like the third or, at least one of those I've seen that sort of has that Yeah, see, there's another one.
Are these all within proximity of each other? Like, how are these
Yes,
all?
that's within that swath near the skull.
Near the
With
skull.
the skull.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Gosh, that place was big, Jean. Oh, man, can you imagine?
Yeah.
Can you imagine the complex
Thanks,
that would
Stig.
be?
I want to go there.
8-meter blocks, a 33-foot, giant skull. What was this that blew up, man?
Unbelievable stuff.
Wow.
Brian, was there anything else you wanted me to cover?
Well, if you don't mind, just going back to the pinwheel for a minute, Jean.
Sure.
I just want to just take one last look at this, and then we can wrap it up. The challenge with Mars is that there are so many different types of anomalies. It presents us with such conflict because it's not just one type of strangeness, it's a variety of strangeness. And the fact that we don't get any meaningful or honest insight from NASA leaves us to try to figure out what these things could possibly be. Now, what NASA might say for something like this, they'll offer 3 different explanations for anything found in anomalies or rover photographs. They'll say it's dust on the lens. They'll say it's a camera artifact, a dead pixel, let's say, or something else called a cosmic ray burst. Now, a cosmic ray burst displays as...
Do you want to show them what they look like, Brian?
Yeah, do you have that, or should I bring it up?
No, I don't have that, no. Shall I stop sharing?
Yeah, let me just show you this real quick, because I would want to know your take on this, guys, because the closest thing I can come up with, let's see, here we go. Okay. Cosmic ray.
I like that light that's coming in behind you there, Jason.
I was going to comment on that too. He kind of looks like Jesus right now.
It's why I never stream this time of day, Jean. It's precisely.
It looks good, dude. I like
Does
it.
it? Okay. I'm glad. I've been watching it slowly bring itself about as we went past the hour. Yeah. Okay.
Here's an example. Sharon, can you guys see this yet?
Nope.
Oh, sorry.
It's like a halo above Jason's head. He's like,
Oh, absolutely.
oh.
Megan, do I need to
There you
click it
go.
again?
Yeah, now he looks like Jesus.
It should pop up and allow me to share, but I'm not seeing it.
Okay, hang on. Let me stop sharing.
Let's all just look at Jesus Jason right now while we're waiting for this to pop up.
Jason.
The mature version. It's so cool.
The Holy Spirit entered the chat.
Oh, man.
Shout out Bill Schwant. He does a lot of really great work. You guys need to check him out on X.
Okay, so here is astronaut photographer Donald Pettit. Okay, and he has fortunately tweeted exactly what cosmic ray bursts look like and what they do to cameras. And I have to cycle through here, but cosmic ray bursts as photographed by Donald Pettit. Here he tweeted about it. Here are these little thin streaks. Okay. Actually, this one is a meteor. He distinguishes this in his tweet. This one's a meteor, and this one is a cosmic ray burst. It's only a pixel wide, all right? And if you zoom into it, you can see that it's really just a thin streak, and it has multiple colors because it's going through the RGB sensors of the camera, and that's all that it is. It's just a thin streak like that. And on Mars, we actually, fortunately, do have an example of a cosmic ray burst up here in the corner. All right, but if we zoom into this, it's just like a thin streak like what he photographed above Earth. And I'm just conflicted because what we see with the image that NASA, or rather that Jean just provided, is
Yeah, there's structure to that item.
Right.
Like there's, I call it the pinwheel because it's got something funky at the top. These equally spaced.
There's a three-dimensionality to it that the other photo does not exhibit at all. That's for certain.
And it's not uniform in brightness. It is more bright in certain areas than others. To me, that indicates reflection of light. It is not a light source itself. A cosmic ray burst is a single photon from the sun that is captured by 1 pixel width of a camera's CCD sensor. This is multiple pixels wide. It is thicker than what a cosmic ray burst should be. It's got this funny pinwheel thing at the top. It is not consistent in its brightness. To me, that reflects that is indicative of reflection of light. Now that's my take. What do you guys think?
I'm with you on reflection, man. And the only other thing that comes to mind, Jean, I believe in one of our other, we've done a lot together now, man, but maybe it was last week, you were showing us some other air anomalies. And there's some of the other ones that had something hanging below it, right? Whatever you want to say it was. There was a directionality that seems inherent when you looked at whatever is above it, right? So what I mean by that is the 3 prongs, what you call the pinwheel, right? I see in that 3-dimensionally a tilt, right? And that tilt also aligns with the thing coming down from it, right? As though, almost though if the 3-wheeled thing were flying, then it's sort of dragging that behind it. That quality right there exhibits itself in the other anomalies you've shown me on this show, right? That's what really stands out to me, that where I can't quite go with lens flare, lens dust, or solar, particle.
This could be a huge satellite orbiting the planet as well. It could be way out there, and it could be huge. We can't say for sure if it's close or far. So that could be way out there orbiting the planet, for all that we know.
Okay, I'm going to throw something really crazy out there. The pinwheel is a portal, and there's a comic under it. or a meteor, like coming through the portal.
That's what I want it to be.
Yeah.
That's for
Why
sure.
not? Why not?
There's been some comments about it looking like a sabbat, which is like I don't want to screw this up, but a carry device used in firearms and artillery that fits around a smaller projectile like a bullet. And yeah, that's what I thought when I first saw it, was being out on a night fire range when I was in the Army, watching the grunts shoot stuff off while I sat in the ambulance. That kind of looks like artillery to me. I'm sorry. Somebody else, 2 people said it in the chat, not just me. So that's wild. An optical trail caused by slow shutter speed. Yeah, possibly. You know, we're not ruling out the a negative take. We're just looking at what NASA gave us, right? I mean,
Yeah, I think the cameras have an 8 millisecond shutter speed. Is it 8? 4 to 8 milliseconds? 16?
Sabo, my bad. It's not Sabbath, it's Sabo. Say that again, John.
I think it's 4 or 8 millisecond shutter speeds. I can adjust it.
I think you should and bring it back next week, right? I mean, or next time we do this. I don't know if we're doing it next week, but
Brian, do you know what the shutter speed is on those cameras?
I don't know, man. That's your department.
Yeah, I think it can be adjusted. But it's about 8 milliseconds, I think.
well, this R.K. Miller said something moving fast, and so if the shutter speed, depending on the shutter speed, it would depend on how it turned out, depending on the speed of the object, right? I think that's what they're saying. So, yeah.
Somebody's putting a small ball above the upper right of the pinwheel. We can go back. I don't know if it's too late.
I don't mind taking another quick look, but I do got to go here shortly.
Yeah, we'll wrap it up here. Share it again.
Small ball to the upper right.
Well,
oh yeah, you can see that.
Well, we do see these little dots here, and sometimes we can get into this in another episode. You know, the cameras do encode artifacts, these dead pixels, stuck pixels, but there's a way to tell the difference between them. Okay, we don't have time to get into it today, but this is more than obviously a dead pixel. It has structure to it. It's thicker in parts, then it's thinner. It's not consistent like a cosmic ray burst. Cosmic ray bursts do not have these pinwheel formations at the top. So this is just another example of something that to me seems indicative of a physical object photographed in the sky, that if NASA just said, hey, public, check this out, look what we just photographed on Mars, the world would go nuts, all right? But they're not. They don't call any attention to this stuff. John, who found this? Was this you or was this Joe White?
It was Joe White.
Okay, thank you, Joe White, for finding this great work.
His YouTube channel is Art Alien TV, if you want to go check it out.
Yeah, Joe has found a lot of these UFOs, and he does some good work there too. I haven't spoken with Joe personally, but I do see some of his work. So, anyway, guys, thanks a lot for this. I felt it was necessary to go back and look at some of the basics here, and just set a better foundation from which all this high strangeness occurs and is analyzed on Mars. There's a lot to unpack here. Again, we're dealing with 50 years of suppression, okay? And it requires more than just me or Jean or any one of us. It requires this type of discussion and opening it up to discussion with those people who have an interest in exploring the narrative that we haven't heard, because the way I see Mars is sort of a precursor to all this ancient stuff that we find here on Earth. That's my take, but it's up to everybody to really frame it how they want. So
I believe you do. Yeah, everything on Mars is a little older than it is here.
I like your take. I like your take, Brian. I do. I think you're right on the vein of what's going on, bro. And that's why I love hanging out with you guys. Is it feels right. It validates what I've come across here on this earth. And guys, you got the basics here today. That was the right move, Brian. I enjoyed getting the basics. And everybody at home, listen. This was just the basics. This stuff Jean has goes on and on and on. Once you appreciate the micro at the microbial level, wait till you start to see, like he showed us at the end, the 12-meter long stuff. It's incredible, and I'm glad to be on this journey with you guys. Thanks for having me.
look at that sun coming through with Shaman.
I know it's
divine, isn't it?
It's heavenly, I must say.
Can you put your head just like right up there, Shaman? Like just
he did that
raise it
earlier.
up a
Yeah,
little-
there it
okay,
is.
sorry,
There it
I
is.
missed
Oh,
Okay,
yeah, there we go.
Mars Disclosure Live is declared one of the greatest new podcasts to hit the airwaves. It's official. We're approved.
Amazing. Megan, final words.
Just thanks again to everyone who made it out in the chat, that kept the chat going, all the guesses, all the fabulous input, people like checking on questions that other people have and getting the answers in the chat. It's so appreciated. We can't get to every comment, but yeah, you guys are fabulous. Thank you.
Thanks, everyone.
A bunch of super chats today. I don't know who they went to, but Stig dropped like 2 or 3, which was awesome. We love that stuff. It's much appreciated. A lot of hard work goes into all this stuff. Guys, I'm no scientist. I've just been fascinated with these topics my entire life. I've been fascinated with the butterscotch planet my entire life. And I'm just grateful to be a part of this and to be able to host these guys and their work, and to host these topics and to get this information out there. Ask these questions, right? Let's ask these questions, because the people who are supposed to be in charge of this stuff aren't asking these questions, or they're deliberately obfuscating the truth or exhibiting willful ignorance, or whatever you want to call it. And we're building a community here. Mars Disclosure Live, okay? Brian Cory Dobbs has an outstanding documentary and an outstanding channel where he goes over a lot of this stuff in detail with some of these scientists that he talked to, okay? Jean's got an outstanding channel where he deep dives into these pictures and these anomalies. Please go ahead and subscribe to those. Jason Huffman just started a new live stream. If you want to tell us about that real quick before we wrap up.
Very quickly, it's called Finding Things Within and Without. You can see it streamed live on X and YouTube. I'm just getting my sea legs under me, but I'm trying to go out every day, do some exploration, bring it back to you guys, have fun, entertain, and do a watch along of what I'm finding out here in Alabama.
Let's go. And somebody said more pictures next week. I just want to say, I think we're going to be doing these bi-weekly, so every 2 weeks. So tune in again 2 Sundays from now, 4 p.m. Eastern, for Mars Disclosure Live, streaming across anywhere between 3 to 6 YouTube channels all at the same time, because we're sharing this. We want to get it out there. And I just wanted to say thank you to Brian specifically for spearheading the public relations when it comes to this stuff, spearheading the truth. So Brian, final words and we'll wrap it up.
Okay, 2 things. Any super chat donations should definitely go to you guys for hosting this. Thank you so much for doing that, Dave and Megan. I appreciate the production, I appreciate the interest, so all that should go to you if it's not already. Number 2, maybe we should think about getting t-shirts made. Snow on Mars. Like, that would change the narrative, wouldn't it?
I think that's great. We could have a little Christmas display with some snow on Mars.
Someone threw out Santa's on Mars. We could have Santa in there.
You know what they used to call Elvis's promo guy, the handler, the colonel? They called him the snowman, because he'd always tell Elvis when they're about to make money, he said, I'm going to make it snow. So hopefully we could make some money out of Mars Disclosure while we're at it, and we're already doing it. Thank you, everybody at home. This chat has been something to see. I really appreciate all of you guys.
Yep. And hey, I'm about to go live again on my other show, Breaking Ancient News, with Cody of East 10 Outpost and Aaron from Megalithic Mystery. We're going to cover all the things going on right now in ancient news. So come check us out either on East 10 Outpost, Megalithic Mysteries, Dave's Multiverse, or the Breaking Ancient News channel. So if you want to keep going, switch over to one of those. Love you guys. Love the chat. Peace, love, and truth to everyone. And geez, Jason looks like Jesus right now. Holy moly.